in a row, man. Here's what I want to do. I want to open up just a panel to kind of go into this conversation. Brother O'Shea Vlogcast, he is the big YouTuber who brings together some awesome panels, some awesome content on topics that are relevant to people. On this one, it does seem to be more of a entertainment-based conversation. There is no real byproduct or expectation that somebody's life is going to ultimately be changed by the outcome of this discussion. And so it is one that's more entertainment based. I think that there is a lot of value inside of it because it does allow certain perspectives to come together on a panel, opposing views. One of the things that we do see happen a lot when we do have these more controversial talking points with words, triggering words like Pookie inside of the title, is that there is a projection that happens with folks who already feel a certain way about Pookie. They have an image in their head that they've already defined him to be or her to be, Pookie and Ray Ray him to be in that case, and that image is black. And because that image has been painted black in their own minds, they can speak to it more freely, and they can speak to it with a lot of anecdotal information that they would like. They could use statistics that verify it and validate their opinion. It's called a confirmation bias that they use. No problem with that. It happens. It's only natural and analytic or in reasoning that you will draw from your own anecdotal personal experiences, as well as those things that you may have learned vicariously through the media or just through conversations such as these. On the other end of that spectrum is that argument to get to the real meat of it. The Pookie is the Pookie, the black warrior, the warrior of the black community, or the warrior class of the black community. There are a lot of ways that you can look at it, but I think first they're going to have to start off by defining it. Saying, what's up, man? Hey, what up, BMT, man? If you do get some time, I know you're always busy and you got a lot of things on your plate, but I will have the link available inside of the chat for people to just come on. I'm not a big time YouTuber, so there's no reason for me to say, hey, you don't have an avatar, or hey, I don't know you, I'm not letting you up, or man, they shut my channel down. They just be practicing because I don't got nobody who comes here anyway. But we'll make that available to the folks who are out there, man. And we'll just have a conversation in an open panel style. Again, I don't think that I know everything. I do have a perspective. And when I went into the chat and saw that there were most people saying, what were they saying? They were saying, oh, you know, he's not the black warrior class, or the Pookie and Ray Ray are not the black warrior class. There's just a lot of information and context that they're missing that I think could be a healthy space to have that conversation. This is one that actually drills down to action and to the cowardice and to the, well, what would you have me do? And to the actual idea of sovereignty for me. And in many respects, it pushes back against those folks who want assimilation, those who want to be a part of the system, those who rely and depend most heavily psychologically on this system to provide them with their basic levels of protection. So when it comes down to a conflict with any individual, a Pookie of any different race, when they view conflict, their best way forward from conflict is to rely and to be dependent upon somebody else to provide them with a safety net or an option. And because they are dependent in that lens, give me 1 second. I'm gonna go on mute real quick. All right, so let me do this already. Where you cooking at, BMT? Whenever you start cooking, man, you know I added you on the gaming channel and shit and all of that too. So in this discussion, though, I will need a multiple what is it, a more complex view of it from folks who have military veterans, people who have studied and applied military science. They know about formations, they know about the flanks, they know about, you know, you don't put your weakest units in the middle, but let's say you had slaves or you had conquered nations or nations that are subjugated under you. Where would you put them in a traditional or colonial formation? Was one of the things that one of the people in the chat was talking about. They were like, well, you don't put untrained and undisciplined soldiers or warriors on in any formation. And I was like, that's absolutely ridiculous, sir. You have a place for even those who are disloyal or not loyal to your cause, but they are a part of your army. And because they lack that education, you got to have those folks who do have that experience, those who have been deployed, those who have been deployed alongside fuck ups, Pookie and Ray Rays inside the military and shit. I mean, so when you're looking and examining the warrior class, I told them flat out, look, it's going to come with a will. And first of all, that will to fight is where it's going to be one of the first definitive tenets of what it means to be a warrior. And if you're talking about something different, if you're talking about colonial formations, then you're going to miss it. Another area when I tried to get just break down, see where they were at, just check the temperature. Um, Checking the temperature, I found out, when it comes to even guerrilla warfare or urban warfare, that they weren't well versed on even those strategies or those tactics. So it wouldn't benefit to have the conversation about urban warfare with people who aren't well versed in it. And they're thinking in terms of, well, you have a general, you have a lieutenant, you have those things, and even providing them the information of that type of structure that exists inside of gangs as a pivot. And once I heard them saying that and they didn't have it, to pivot into inside gangs and see if they know anything about the gang structure or the gang street code and any of that, they didn't seem to be well versed on that area as well. So with those missing links inside of what it means to be a warrior or the creation of a warrior class, if they don't have those, then I'm just not dumb enough to have the conversation with those folks. They're just missing some of the key essential tenets of what it means to be a warrior, and they're just more or less projecting from their own anecdotal evidence and their bad experiences dealing with somebody. Me having a conversation, I would want them to deal with the root of their own fear, because when I say it comes down to a will or a spirit to fight, that is the premise. That is the premise of what it means to be a warrior. Now, all of the organization and who are you fighting and what cause are you fighting for, those would be outcomes. Those are key differentiators. That's once the general comes into the room and gives you your orders. But before the general is giving orders, he is still going to make an assessment of the character or the quality of those troops inside of that region. And once he has assessed the quality and the training of those folks inside of the, I'm sorry, not region, regiment, and those squads, all the way down to the squad level, and all the way even down to the individual men who's a part, and assesses their warrior capabilities. I'll say it like this: in basic training, the generals, they come and they do their general assessments when we're testing on certain elements, like your hand-to-hand combat or your arms training, or if you're specialized. I was a M1 tanker, so M1 Abrams tank operator, and so we had to qualify at the range on the number of different equipments that were a part of the M1 Abrams, such as the 50 caliber and the 240 saw, and then the pistol and those other ones. We had to qualify in how fast we were able to traverse the range, or the ups and downs, stop here on a go, make a hard left, make a hard right, all of those different testings on the caliber of that warrior, that individual warrior who was a part of a broader unit. And so for that same motherfucker, oh yes sir, what up Kenny, thanks for stopping through, man. I had BMT stop through as well. We had a brother TJ, a part of the Manosphere, or I see as a part of the Manosphere, who stopped through as well. Waiting on my brother RJ to come through. And then AM1 also said he would be interested in having the conversation. So I'm trying to open up this link for brother AM1, who may still be on the, I don't think he's subscribed to me, so he may not have the notification that I even went live, and I am opening up the chat for him. So we'll see what happens there. He wanted to have a quick conversation, or a quick higher level conversation about the Pookie and whether or not Pookie is considered the warrior class of the Black community. I agreed. I said in many respects the Pookie can be looked at. Now that's of course not going to be all Pookies are warrior class, and it's definitely not saying that that their intentions or their capabilities as a part of the warrior class are, on the level of a general and a well-trained soldier and an experienced vet. Now, if they would establish the tenets of what it means to be a part of the warrior class, I think that they would find some areas where they agree. And moving forward, they would say, yeah, they're a part of the warrior class, and they're fucking failing. They may come up with that conclusion. At the end of the day, they might say, if this is the best that we have to offer against, white nationalists coming inside the neighborhood, or a deterrent against, whatever it is, home invasion, I guess, in those different respects, then maybe so. And we'll just have to see where they go with it. I don't want to put arguments or prefabricated arguments inside of their heads, but I do know that the ones that they were using at the time, they just weren't cutting mustard. They were not cutting mustard. And so let me see if I can bring them on. What is it? O'Shea Vlogcast. See if they're still there. A couple of them were still having that conversation. I mean, and it's crazy because these are the same people who, when asked the question yesterday, are Black people just a joke to the white community? Many of them would say, oh yeah, Black people are the joke. So it looks like the chat is now closed. So I won't be able to send them that invite. And I don't even think I have AM1's. Oh no, here we go. It looks like it opened up. They may still be working on it. Uh, come through. And let's see what else it is. Yes, but I mean, and I could try to go back individually and address some of the things that they were saying, but some of these folks were just going crazy with their comments. Like when they start projecting um their inferences about what is said, it's like, damn, how did you get to that conclusion? Like, dogs bark, barking is good for your health, so dogs are healthy. What? How in the fuck did you get there? So true. So I'm trying to see if they were still there. Some dude named Incredible Hulk had said something on that bad boy that kind of triggered me a little bit. But I'm only gonna leave it open for a little bit, put the little thing in a link and see if anybody is willing to come on in and join and have that conversation. If not, it won't be open long because I got other areas that I could be discussing. Like, let me do this. Let me turn on this other side vent. And while we're waiting on some other folks, yo, what up, M1? There you go, my brother. I'll drop it in one more again for you. Feel free to join, and I'll show some of the activity that I was actually engaged in prior to the conversation. Well, prior to the conversation, I ain't gonna lie, I wasn't doing shit. I was still in my motherfucking Uber trying to get home because my life is not all together yet. When you look at Brother Moses, you're still looking at a work in progress, man. I am still trying to get everything together here. I was one of those people who didn't believe in the whole, get you a car and take care of all of that shit like that, and you need to have a car. And so I have never taken out a car loan. Never. I am 36 years old and have never taken out a car loan. I mean, and it's crazy because that sounds, it was like, well, damn, how did you get a car? It just wasn't on my radar as a thing. And it's not even because I was so super educated in the financial, finances and all of that. I wasn't even there yet. It wasn't like, oh no, don't get a car loan because all of those other reasons, this, that, and the third. But yeah, I have never taken out a car loan. So I'm still a work in progress, still working to get my whole life together in the different areas that I would like to achieve in. And one, give me a sec. I'm also going to share the screen, but come on in when you get the chance and let me know that you're there by saying something in the mic. It's all right, man. We're not super formal and all of that shit. So.
Oh, no, I'm here. What's good, Moses? I'm good. I'm here.
All right, peace and thanks for joining, man. Try to lay a little bit of premise on this side. All right, so I'm gonna give a little bit of context. So since for about the last 2 decades, a credibility statement. For the last 2 decades, I've been, just slowly gathering a little bit more information as much as I can about our military and our military dominance on a global scale. And I started off by just looking at the different investments and innovation, corporate partnerships or whatnot, where we're actually invested in increasing our capabilities. Why? Because it seems like on a global scale or on a national scale, we have this assumption that our military is hands down the best. Our military strategy is unequivocal on a global scale. And so with that, I was on the sister podcast or a podcast channel when she had a conversation that really stuck home with me. And it was just talking about how China's innovations and their military technology has surpassed us. She went in and brought out and highlighted some high-ranking officials inside of the government who said the same. We can defer to the Rand report, and we can also defer to the current chief of staff of the Air Force. And what it all concludes on, I won't give you the whole background story and all of that, but the conclusion that it drives towards is that we are no longer number one when it comes to military technology, and our traditional lens of fighting a conventional glitching out lately. YouTube content creators have decided that they no longer want to use the Streamlabs while they're still working through their glitches. But it looks like we do have a brother who's on mute who joined, Game Changer. AM1 looks like he jumped off because of the glitch that happened with StreamYard. Just as an insight, I am plugged in with my modem and all of that shit. It's not on a Wi-Fi capabilities lens. It is still a struggle channel. Don't get it twisted. But it's not the Wi-Fi. There is still some glitches that StreamYard is working through. Game Changer, welcome to the place. Welcome to the space. And welcome to the conversation, man. Feel free to open on up and say what's up.
Hey, what's up with you, brother Moses?
All right, chilling, big bro. Oh wait, how old are you?
I'm in my early 40s.
Early 40s, absolutely. So you are. I can't identify you as big bro. And then let me see here because it doesn't look like I'm getting my signal. Can you hear me well?
Yes.
Why the fuck is it coming through my computer and not through my damn headphones? That's where, okay, we got M1 back on. Sorry about that, bro. But again, it wasn't me, big. It wasn't me. It wasn't me, man. It is a struggle channel. Don't get it twisted. But StreamYard is working through some glitches on their end. So y'all want to jump into the conversation? Do you want to lay a premise down first? I know RJ probably gonna join me if he has some time, but it's a hardworking brother himself. He may only have a little bit of time. He may be in and out like the rest of us. But do y'all want to lay down a premise first and just kind of go into what you feel about just the topic itself and how we should actually go about discussing this topic, even before we get into the anecdotal and our personal feelings about it? Do you just want to lay down a sentiment about the topic?
So basically, go ahead, Am.
You look talk about the whole thing of, is the U.S. still the military dominator?
Oh, no, that was just a little bit about my background. I've been watching it for a little while. Are we still number one in military technology? I think that they've done a hell of a job exploiting some of our operational vulnerabilities with such capabilities as, their drone capabilities, their ability to knock out satellites. They can cancel out the grid that we rely heavily on. And because we're still a conventional operation-based military as a strategy, they've one-upped us. And it's going to take a hell of a lot of costly investment for us to get there. But our topic was just the warrior class. Are the black men, are the Pookies the warrior class? And so either one, you could just pick it up right there and just lay down your premise.
Oh, well,
I mean, shouldn't we save that for O'Shea?
he's not coming on, right? Or he's going to come on tomorrow?
Yeah, O'Shea is
He sent me
definitely,
an email.
he postponed it. Or did he say he's coming on tonight? I know he had postponed it and said tomorrow.
I don't know.
He said that he's coming on tomorrow because he sent me an email. It was a while ago, but asking if I wanted to be in on it. I said, yeah. When did he say he postponed it?
Moses, can y'all hear me? Game Changer, can you hear me?
Well, I can hear you. Yeah, I can hear you.
I guess Moses can't hear us. I think his mic is not acting right. I'm curious. The stream can hear us. Oh, his audio is just messed up. Yeah, okay. I mean, it's a topic we could easily talk about over and over. I mean, all these topics kind of revolve. A lot of these things lately just devolve right back into the same thing, like almost like a civil war between the idea of what I would say should be more honestly described as who's being productive, who's not being productive, and then what does productivity mean? And I always go back to skills and resources to the point where I just sound like a broken record. So, I mean, I can have discussions all day because I actually am about that and live that. It's easy for somebody who is putting in work to talk about putting in work. And it's very easy for somebody who ain't putting in no real work to try to uplift the fact that they don't put in any real work or try to validate that and make it make sense, because it's much harder to actually have to go learn a skill in order to gain resources. So then if you're not trying to take that time out, then you can just try to uplift essentially being lazy or being neutralized, like that, which is delusional, because in reference to world powers growing and building and having power and having wealth and resources and leveraging that against pinning us down, the Black community wants to say white man is keeping us down, which to a certain degree they are, but any other community could be, any other country, nation could be pinning us down just the same. China has more resources than collectively Black Americans too. So in theory, they're above us and can keep us down. So what are we going to do skill wise to overtake that and overcome that? That's it. I don't care about how much history you want to talk about. I don't care about anything, because all that matters is what are you doing to have skills so you can gain resources, as to not be at the mercy of somebody who has more resources than you. That's it. There's no other discussion. Go ahead.
Yep, yep. Did the mic come back in or you good?
Now we can hear you, Moses. It just sounds kind of low, just so you know.
Oh, all right. Let me turn that up a little bit. What about now? Is it too much?
No, you're
No, it's
perfect.
perfect. Yeah.
All right, perfect. So definitely appreciate that. Talking about uplifting the Pookie and what that actually does to the psychology, it doesn't allow people to move forward into that global thinking space where, whereas combating what they would perceive to be other people's oppression or other people's dominance in certain industries, in certain, wherever it is that you want to accomplish in life, you're not going to get there as long as you continue to make excuses that justify, failure and inactivity. So that's how I would kind of sum it up. Maybe I missed some of the nuances of what you were saying, but that's what it really resonated with me once you said it. Um, anything
Oh,
more there
no,
or?
no, your summary was damn near better than mine. You summed it up better. You heard it perfectly. How do we uplift the situation that is ultimately failing and keeping us collectively back? Bam, bingo.
Game changer on you, brother.
No, I mean, I definitely agree. I think that you have a group of people who are looking for their place in society who typically lived outside of it. Um, there was a time where low lives, criminals, and people like that, they lived on the outskirts of the cities or the main civilization. They didn't actually live in Rome. They lived in Italy somewhere, and they kind of just raided places. They were outlaws and therefore out of the mainstream society. Um, Now we live in a time where they live right next door to people. They live, in the community, and unfortunately in high concentrations in the Black community. So what they're doing is they're looking for their place in the social hierarchy of the Black community. And since people are attracted to violence in general, you can tell by the sports we watch. Contact sports tend to be more popular than non-contact sports, and we all like a good action movie or something like that, and things like that. We have a certain attraction to violence and adoration for those who are a part of it. Um, whether they're a champion gladiator or what have you, Mandingo fighter, whatever you want to call it. So we as humans have an attraction to that. And in the Black community, we tend to give social status to those who perpetuate violence to our own demise.
Damn, brother.
Facts.
Absolutely. I mean, and on so many different levels, I can see where you're going with that, and there are so many different examples that you could bring out, where it is reflected. Violence is reflected inside of the hip hop culture. Violence is reflected inside of the movies and the genres that we like. Violence is starting to seep into, or not starting, but is a part of our homes. It's a part of our communities, and it's part of that dysfunctional culture that would prevent people from seeing that bigger picture AM1 was referring to. That bigger picture, though, and here's where I would come in and just provide some pushback. That bigger picture was created through that same violence that we idolize. Um, and in many of our interactions, like you brought up Rome, before there was a Rome or the establishment of Rome, the peopling of what became the Roman Empire. There were other spaces where that form of violence did not occupy our minds, where accomplishing get the bag or our skills and resources were functional, serving for ourselves, for our family, and for our community, our loved ones. And in a greater respects, that environment did shift once we ran into a more violence heavy culture. I don't think that it originates with us, but as the imitators of such, we are responsible for our actions in that same sense. And I would agree to this extent that if that violence that you are perpetrating on your own people, number one, I can't stress that enough. I've been in that same situation on anecdotally, where I would have been that same perpetrator of violence. And in fact, there's still some times where it was like I had a conversation with a city and I was like, man, and, it drove me to that pookiedom, that same type of mannerisms where violence is the only thing that I felt at that time would have been the only respected response is actual violence, is getting on a plane. Even Fantasia jumped straight towards it. Last time he had a conversation, he was like, little nigga, I'll slap you. And I'm like, damn, that shit is hella funny, but it is a part of, it's inbred in our psychology now, having been exposed to that manner of thinking for so long. And now that we're in that position to have to deal with that one side, which wants to continue to destroy and to kill and to just fuck everything, but we're still in a social hierarchy that pushes forward more progressive thought and more actionable things such as innovation. What do we do? What is the path forward for Black men? Are we able to dismiss that violent nature or that violent training that we've received or that violent indoctrination in order to see the bigger picture again? That would be my pushback for both of those positions. What are your thoughts?
No, I mean everything you're saying is true. The
Okay, I would say this.
I was just going based on the rotation we started.
Go ahead.
Kinda. You fucking up the rotation, man.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, goddamn no. Game changer. You ain't never puff pass, man, to the left, man.
I never
Same
did.
time, man. Oh shit. Okay.
Nah, Moses. What you just said is absolutely true. What we're dealing with, I would say, is essentially alien to us, but it has been now culturally ingrained generationally into our people or the so-called culture of our people, which is false, of course. But we are suffering from a mass form of mental illness and collective just brokenness. So I mean that is part of the game, and a lot of things that were used to establish certain countries or nations' global dominance was based on war, was based on military might or ability to fight or ability to destroy. So sure, but without a doubt, if we're going to talk about Black folks trying to arrive at some kind of nation within a nation concept, we're going to have to clean house first. We cannot have bum ass niggas in our own house leeching off resources and not helping to contribute to moving us forward. How can you possibly do that when you're already waging a war or having a war waged on you by people who have more resources than you, but at the same time you have parasites in your own house draining the limited resources you already have? That's essentially what we're dealing with. And it's all the psychological thing. It's a mind game. We have people who essentially are suffering from mental illness, generational mental illness born from poverty and a form of arrested development. They don't want to change or move forward. So they will do everything they can to validate the mentalities they have, point whatever finger, make whatever excuses. We know we've been set up for failure. Now that we know, what are we going to do to change it? It's all about skills and resources. I don't care how much, what you did in the past, what you did to even destroy your people. Stop trying to validate that and act like there's some sense of pride in that, and say, be willing to denounce that and say, nah, that was bad. That was a bad look. Let me truly be a man and say that. That's like Mr. Research. He outright says that. He'll outright say he did destructive shit in his own hood right here in Oakland, and now denounces hardcore the whole thuggish mentality and the whole just mentality of that you would tear down your own shit. That's stupid. And why will we be taken seriously on a global scale if we rocking like that? Go ahead, y'all.
Okay, so yeah, I definitely agree with everything that AM1 said. I wanted to add something. The brother Moses was saying that other civilizations, they're attracted to violence and everything. It's just that we are attracted to it in an unhealthy way. You see, if you notice how in the movie industry, let's just take that for example, you have movies like Lethal Weapon, Rambo, The Expendables, things like that, where the violence is centered around, or the protagonist is always a soldier or a police officer, people who are using violence, to defend their community or to protect and serve their community. However, our perpetuators of violence are always the criminal, the thug, the drug dealers, the Nino Browns, et cetera, et cetera. So we have a misconception of who the hero is and who the villain is. Now, this comes largely because of our history in this country and, law enforcement and the military didn't really seem like a place for Black men. However, we were still attracted to violence. So we looked for other mediums to, have that violent reputation or the imagery that comes with it, um, the respect, whatever you want to call it, and still, excuse me, and yeah, so we wanted to do that and not be a part of the Marine service or the military or the police service. So we're looking for the masculine image that comes with being perpetuators of violence without actually joining the Navy SEALs. So that's my time.
Oh shit, brother. Thanks for keeping it short because as we know, StreamYard is having some technical difficulties. If they kick us out, stay in the back chat. And then once I come back on, we'll just add ourselves back on. But it is doing some glitching. And so, yeah, man, great points that you brought out. I would kind of rebuttal them, but it's not one of those conversations where I got to do all of the yelling and the bitching and the hoeing and all of that shit. I do that sometimes for the entertainment aspect on the bigger channel. Because we do know that on that bigger channel, they love it. Whenever you start having those folks who come on and they're able to yell louder and they're able to do the back and forth like that, the numbers go up. The numbers do not lie. For some odd reason, those numbers start to go up. People just start coming from everywhere without it being shared anymore, without it being posted to Facebook or Instagram anymore. Those numbers just go up when the fuckery or the back and forth with the yelling is there. So won't do any of that. You can stay off mute.
That's an example of an attraction to violence, just so you know.
Absolutely. But in that same sense, though, when you look at the analytics, it's not just Black folks. And here would be my premise. Number one, when we're looking at the establishment of those who have claimed a monopoly on force or that masculine image of violence, it was established with a certain premise too, right? It was established by using force. It was established by those same premises. And that authority that they invested in themselves to be the arbiters of death and destruction, that is still within every man that exists. So that indoctrination or that affinity to go towards joining the Marines or joining the Navy SEALs, I think comes with a premise or an understanding that I may be called to go kill some people. And in fact, I would take it a step further and say people who want to join the Navy SEALs and they want to be that SEAL Team 6, those are, in a sense, the people who have been most indoctrinated or the people who are most susceptible to that violent crime speed. Because the Pookie and Ray Ray or the Black Pookie and Ray Ray may not have joined them, I don't believe takes away or dismisses the fact that they are not the warrior class if they had that same will but did not choose to assimilate into that system. And in many cases, I think when people are bringing up some of the crime statistics and things, or when they're painting, the Black Pookie and Ray Ray, the underachiever, the inferior executor of that masculine image, I think what they're doing is just trying to dismiss that will, that warrior will that is innate in many men. And let me say it like this as well: to move forward from it being an innate feeling and an indoctrinated feeling, it is also a learned feeling. And I think that's where the media plays its good roles, like you said, the Lethal Weapons and all of those different movies that cross culture. And then when Black people try to adopt the same similar media or propaganda type messaging around the Black male image, they may miss the mark or they may get it wrong in many people's eyes, but it's still reflective of that same negative, in many cases, energy. And then AM1, bruh, I know it seems like it's hard to come down off of the here is the solution. And my only opposition there, because I'm all the way with the solutions. How do we start to build from the solution and then have these discussions to where solutions are now broken down to the granular level to where everybody can start to find their own interests. They can find their own pathways. They can find their own avenues towards attaining higher level skills, higher valued skills, and start to implement it on their own time and in their own space in order to impact the change and be a part of those networks to add and to bring that value to the conversation. So I definitely get that. I'll be right there with you, but I would only push back and say, understand that we are dealing with a lot of folks who just aren't there yet. When you look at the topics themselves, we are still dealing with a lot of people who haven't figured out mating yet, let alone overcoming the obstructions to, you know, corporate or business owner entrepreneurship, different areas like that. Don't get it twisted. There is about 200 or more people who actively frequent those topics when they are on innovation and Black excellence and, you know, real estate, finances. There are about 200 people who faithfully attend those shows as well. But the bigger numbers would indicate that it's still, or we're still dealing with a lot of people who just aren't there yet on jumping into the solution. So baby steps might be needed, although I am 100% with you. If we can't take these baby gloves off and these training wheels off, then we are probably not having conversations with what we would consider Black men. We're definitely not viewing it from the lens of what it takes to create a global force recognized from our own communities, the Black man himself. They will never be looked at as a general, whether in their own time or their own, you know, small networks or community or even larger scale, and definitely not respected in a broader community. So I definitely agree with what you're saying there, because I hear the sentiment and I hear the premise to which you're stating. And I see that it's originating. Look, we are men. Why don't we start at solutions and make solutions the discussion, not just discuss the problem? So that would be my 3 minutes, and then I'll yield the floor.
Yeah, no, and even what I was saying in O'Shea's chat, I actually like the idea that those topics could come up, that they do keep coming up. Like, you know, O'Shea will drop a topic or a certain thing will happen, certain a big channel, big YouTuber within the sort of Black sector will drop a topic, and then it kind of swarms around for a week or so. And, you know, gets heated, especially when it's the, you know, Pookie, Ray Ray, educated lame, anything, because that dichotomy is there within our people. And that's a major stumbling block. I say it, to me, it's just frustrating that it's even present, period, because I'm so far into the solution mindset. And it's something that I actively work on and deploy right here in Oakland, California. I work with a lot of different people of different age groups. I've come into chats and panels and whatnot saying those kind of things, not to the point of trying to brag or on some like pride level, just on the level of, hey, I'm banging my head against the wall trying to say, hey, young Black man, young Black woman, wake up. Like, here's what we're up against. You're focused with your head down in this low level thinking kind of stuff. We're up against some serious shit that you really need to sort out, because the major threat is encroaching upon you, and you're blind to it because you're focused on some small level stuff. That's kind of what it is when I'm speaking from that energy. With that said, I understand Black folks love entertainment and most likely some fuckery, and I get it, and I enjoy it to a certain degree myself. But grand scheme of things is this: I put a lot of energy into the skills and resources kind of thing, to the point where I work from home. I'm working from home right now. I'm sitting, you know, chilling in my apartment at my desk working while chopping it up on YouTube. The average person ain't doing that. So it's a whole different kind of
That's
ball
true.
game. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
That's so true. And the thing is that when you look at the Black diaspora, especially Black Americans, I've worked with about just about every race. And the thing is, at 22, I've also worked with the jail system back in Richmond, Virginia. I went to 17th Street. I've went and looked at the population of the jails throughout the region. And the thing is that if you really look at it, the reason why these people are in jail are all because of the distraction. The distractions for Black Americans is that they want the fuckery, they want the thuggery, but yeah, we want these so-called educated lames, quote unquote. You want successful businessmen to come back in the hood. Well, we got a very good example of what happened if you go back in the hood and try to put a business there. You're going to get the Nipsey Hussle treatment. If you get the Nipsey Hussle treatment, why, as a business owner, want to risk my own employees, my own, I guess you say assets, my liquid assets, and put it in a place where I'm just going to have a high overhead, constant civil unrest, constant issues just to serve a community? I can have a path of least resistance, or I can have the path of most resistance, and most business owners are going to take the path of least resistance. That's the most, I guess you say, ethically sound decision to make as a business owner. It's not about race; it's about common sense. The problem with the Black American community is that you want to ostracize men who want to get their education. We're caring about Robert F. Smith. We don't want to support him because he has a white wife. Well, that's pretty stupid when he just erased millions of dollars of debt, and that's in response to the previous topics of what was happening.
Yeah, don't go there. Don't go there. Let's stay focused.
Why? Well, it's just it leads me to this question: is like, why are we worried about, you know, thugs or educated lames or who we're dating or who we're not dating. If a black guy wants to do something, that's what he wants to do in his private time. If he doesn't want to support the so-called community, that's also fine. If he does, that's also good too. We shouldn't be mad about all these little things. Those little things just don't matter. The problem is how you're going to get money in, how you're going to flip the money, and how you're going to get assets bringing into the community. That's your first and foremost problem. How are you going to get ethical decisions done? How are you going to get the education system rigged up for your own advantage? Because we got the tools, we're just not using them.
We have a couple of folks who just joined the panel. My guy, BMT, as well as somebody who I'm not as familiar with, maybe somebody who found us from the Manosphere from O'Shea Vlogcast channel, Zardrell. And so I'm gonna give y'all the same, 2 or 3 minutes because StreamYard is glitching a little bit. So if you can keep your opening concise, that would be much appreciated. But go on and unmute and come on in. We'll start with BMT, who came first, and then Zardrell. Actually, Zardrell came first. So BMT, if you don't mind, we'll let the guests have their opening statements on the topic that and what they've heard so far. Go right ahead.
Well, my name is Zardrell McKnight. I am 22 years old. I have 3 businesses and a couple of investments. I am currently in school. I have a CDL. I work pretty hard. I am married to an Asian woman.
Okay. Is she bad though?
She's all right. She's a good woman. It's not so much her looks. She's perfectly thick for me. So.
And are you African American? You said.
Yes, I am African American. I just consider myself to just be simply American.
Okay. All right. Go right ahead.
That's pretty much it. Have a barbecue business, Z's Craft Barbecue. I started out with my own hands, no business line of credit, no loans, just good finance knowledge and good entrepreneurial knowledge, and that was pretty much it.
And where's your business operate out of?
I'm in Iowa.
Iowa. Okay, so cool. All right, and then on the topic of Pookies being the warriors of the black community, what are your thoughts there?
Honestly, that topic really threw me off a little bit because it made me think, are they really the warrior class? I mean, if you think about it, a warrior class is not just a thug or someone who can battle. They're someone who's pretty smart and cunning. I mean, you got to think about it. Sun Tzu, Art of War. That's more wisdom and just foreknowledge than it is actual brutality. War is won with letters and pen, not with rifles and bombs. That's the thing. War is won through legislation. So to call themselves the warrior class of the community is just a bit of an overstatement. It's more like these people just know how to fight and they don't have knowledge to really combat each other or a common enemy.
Now, my brother BMT actually needs no introduction, but he might be multitasking. I did not see him come off mute, but brother BMT, would you like to go and come on in and give us some of your thoughts? Now, BMT, I got to tell you, he is an actual warrior. He does come from a similar upbringing that I would be familiar with. His is even more profound. He knows his culture, has the knowledge, has an identity, and still went and served as an actual warrior class person. Lives with those scars, still traumatic, but still loves his people. And I will give that intro for him, although he needs no introduction. I'm still not seeing his mic come off mute, so I'm wondering whether or not he's live with us or is he running multiple channels right now. DMT, can you come on in?
Military? Are you military by chance?
Yeah, I am a post 9/11 veteran.
Thank you for your service. And BMT, thank you for your service.
It doesn't look like he'll come in, so I'll give a quick response. I would have liked almost your entire premise, except for the 2 main tenets that you kind of spoke to. Number 1, you use Sun Tzu instead of somebody like a Shaka Zulu. And the reason why I have a premise with that is because Shaka Zulu had a war strategy that was probably more inclined to be Afro or African descendant centric than the Asiatic one. And the Asiatic tenets were massacres of millions upon millions of people, generations after generations. And so even the Sun Tzu art was one of the mass destruction and critical critical war strategies and war gaming. I don't think that it is
No,
applicable to just
no.
Pookie because I don't see them as being that advanced. And then the second one was the one about legislation and using the pen being mightier than the sword. I definitely don't see the Pookie and Ray Ray or the Thug meeting those requirements. And so to break it down, if we were just talking about Pookie and Ray Ray in context, then maybe okay. But if we were talking about the Congressional Black Caucus as a Pookie or the NAACP Pookies, people who came from minor or, from the hood, and now they've moved into political spaces, then maybe we can get there. But until we really establish that premise, I think it would just only be one's own perspective of what a warrior actually is defined as. And
So,
so
No,
that,
you're right though. You're right.
oh,
You actually are in agreement with that one actually.
oh, okay.
And I guess I should have worded it better. That's why I'm more like an actions person. What
okay.
I mean, what I was saying is you put it perfectly. You put it perfectly. You put it perfectly, brother Moses. You put it perfectly, bro. The thing is that Pookie's and Ray Rays, I just don't consider them the warrior class all in all, because it's just those things. To me, what makes them warrior? I'm thinking military.
Oh,
I'm
there's my guy BMT.
thinking
Sorry, 1 second. Let's let him get his in before we go into your second one, and then we'll bring back in that first rotation and one game changer to kind of build upon the conversation that you're starting. But BMT, I see you're off mute now. Welcome and thanks for joining me, brother.
Yeah, thank you. I do apologize. I know I was going to come back. I guess when we're looking at this right now for the Pookie warrior class, this would probably right now be the millennial X. This would be the millennial X generation right now. We're looking at from the children from the right now from the 30s. These are 30-year-old down to almost 15-year-old kids who are pretty much running amok. Usually um, the older generation of men and women are either incarcerated, lost their mind, or dead. So um, it's almost in a sense like that of the Taliban, where the Taliban at one point used to defend Afghanistan, and then after a while, the ideologies change as the men became older, and their sons are like, what y'all were doing didn't work. It didn't benefit us. So we're doing things our own way. We'll take what we take, and we'll be nomadic in our own right. We now see this has the turn of events um for the black community. Whereas to not to say that the thug was ever so much praised. We're never going to say that. That would be stupid. I don't know why people are saying that. The thug was never praised, but because you're still looked at as the underbelly. But the thug was a necessary element at the time to combat, um, constables coming and harassing police and pretty much running illegal operations through the black community with nobody being able to say something. So that if we're talking about those type of people, if we're talking about those types of warriors, then that would be the ones that you would honestly wouldn't be speaking on. But when as we look down the line to those who are if their parents hadn't been junkies or drugged out, incarcerated, or dead or gone, the new generation is a self-serving, self-indulgence type of generation. They're not warriors. They're more so of raiders and nomadic. They take what they want to take. I literally was about to do a story about a group of 50 teenagers literally watched and beat one boy and stabbed him, all because he walked a girl that she was using him home. If that is called the warrior class, then my God, we are really screwed. Because honestly, that is now the pretentious thing that we're not going to overlook. We're not going to overlook the shootings. We're not going to overlook the killings. I never seen a Poindexter say, I'm going to get in my car and do a drive-by on so-and-so's apartment because I couldn't get my way at a basketball game. That is something you're not going to hear somebody who worked hard many years say that's what they're going to go do. So when we try to say those type of talking points of that the educated dude is tearing up the black community, I mean, honestly, if you're saying that I sold grandma's house because y'all weren't going to keep up with it and I've been keeping up with it, then yeah, I guess you can try that. But as far as the physical damage, the upfront damage, we're seeing that post time with these type of people. We're seeing this post time with these type of people where it's gimme, 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 take, take, take. We're not gonna pretend like we weren't watching Boys in the Hood, Nino Brown, and yeah, we could say those are movies, but John Singleton was showing the reflection of what was real time going on in the community, where you could be that nice guy, or you could just be that everyday black boy or girl, and if you were to walk down the street and you didn't have a clique or a group or a gang or a family, that was your ass. I'm not going, and we're not going to say that this ain't going on, but how much if you didn't pledge your allegiance to me, argument that those who did not pledge their allegiance to the community or to certain causes that they saw were detrimentally harming us, then you can't fault them and say, hey, why aren't y'all helping us when you see X, Y, and Z? Well, you were the same affiliated group that I had to run and dip and dive through certain streets to get home or get my ass beat. I can tell you right now, when I was growing up, you had to have hands. If you did not have hands and you talk with a certain type of vocabulary, they were gonna whoop your ass. So if either you got good at fighting, where they learned not to bother you, or that was your ass. And we can try to say, well, that means you were scared or weak. No, because not every dude who knew how to get around on algebra or watch anime was weak. We just understood that, I just don't get down like that. Or my parents don't approve of me being around this type of group. Or I probably got to answer to a higher authority. Because let's be for real, most people don't join. Most people go towards the street love because they can't get inside household love. So they choose the street. But we understand, like my father said, son, nobody beats the streets. The streets only claim what they want and they throw the rest away. So in that aspect, you're claiming a flag that shows you no love. You're claiming to something that is not giving back to you as it should. So when we're seeing these type of people defend this, I would honestly ask you, what has been the takeaway, or what wars these warriors have been winning? That's fair to ask. If this warrior nation has been here for so long, I need to see the wars that you have not won without the Poindexters going in there, because I never seen a black man go inside the courthouse with a shotgun and get a bill changed. You're gonna have to show me that guy.
So it sounds like, here, let me bring it together real quick. It sounds like at some point, even if we would agree that they're demonstrating warrior type will, or they are fighting something, there is a battle out there, but that some of our brothers are off mission, and that some of them, how did I think it was? They're fighting a battle on the wrong front. They may be misaligned as a part of the formation. They may be without adequate organizational structure or leadership, or their leadership is aiming our best weapons at the wrong targets. And right now, if there are missions to be fought, it would be better that they sit aside on this one. If we're looking for political bills, legislation, and things like that, they may not be the best warriors for this battle. It would almost be like sending tanks to a naval battle. It just does not work. Trying to have armed riflemen shoot down planes, it just does not work. Or B-1 bombers, it does not work. So probably deploying the wrong resources to the wrong battlefield at the wrong times. And then in other cases, it seems like what AM1 who will be coming. Oh wait, no, we have one person that just joined, RJ. We got to let him build. My bad, AM1, and then we'll get back to AM1. Yes,
before you do that, are you more searching of the way of I guess for better terms, instead of like using riflemen to shoot down planes? Are you talking about more of a ground troops entering into a certain theater versus having advisors that can guide? Are you looking at more of that type of conundrum?
Absolutely. And to the point of saying, it seems like we can't miss it. The Pookie and Ray Ray argument, or the educated lame argument, keeps seeping its way in. The educated lame, are you being a good advisor in this military strategy? Or are you failing to even advise those folks? Are you failing to have the influence on those who could be the actual warriors that you would need to have a victory? And are we missing our victories as the Black community because we have lost touch from our advisors all down the chain of command?
I kind of, as you know, I'm a millennial, I'm 22. So it's like, well, I'm not even a millennial, I'm Generation Z. So the thing is like, for me, I'm more like the let's say the black community is like the conventional military. I am more like that outside contractor. I'm outside of the law. You hire me to do certain jobs that I get to do because I'm outside of that jurisdiction. And you have a certain jurisdiction. The Pookies and Ray Rays are more like the lower conscripts of that army, and you're more of the advisors, like BMT and Moses. You two are like the advisors. You two as advisors will probably hire me, someone like me, because I can cross those borders. Because I grew up in the hood, but I also was the guy that watched anime. But I'm also the guy that can throw hands. You know, I can get down on a get down when I need to. I just don't sound like it, but I can do what I need to do. If I have to fuck you up, then it's just the way it is.
Oh,
If I don't
that's
have to do
definitely
that,
facts,
then
though.
it
I
is
mean,
what it
there comes
is.
a time and a space for the warrior skills to come out too, as well, right? So sometimes it's hand-to-hand combat if you're in those trenches, and other times you're shooting from a distance. So your vision or your skills in archery or what is it, marksmanship are going to be more necessary skill sets. And at any given time in any given battle, those skill sets need to be known and they need to be appreciated. But I believe it first starts with the will. Let's bring in our brother RJ. If you could come off mute, that's big bro right there. Also a business savvy person who's making big strides. I'm gonna let him go on and introduce himself and then chime in on the topic at hand. Appreciate you for joining, brother.
Hey, thank you for having me, brother Moses. Peace to everyone on the panel. Peace, good brothers. Hey, Game Changer left. Shout out to Game Changer if he's still watching.
Peace
But
of RJ.
you got it, family. You got it. But again, brother Moses, thank you for having me on. For those who aren't aware who I am, I'm located in the South, and um, I'm in the financial. I'm a financial professional, so I deal with insurance, credit restoration that I do personally. I'm also get involved with skip tracing as it relates to judgments and liens, and having with the purchasing and selling of bad debt, um, and merchant services. So that's my business in a nutshell. Now, as it relates to this title, I'm going to say this on a very, it depends on which level that we're looking at this thing. I believe on a surface level, one would easily just say, yeah, sure. I could see how those, what people would deem to be a so-called Pookie or a Ray Ray would be the so-called warrior class. As it was just alluded to, we all have that warrior within us. Okay. And I don't think the warrior aspect of it always necessarily has to be physical. I think we've already touched on that. I think we're aware of that. With if let's say that they are, the ones who get down for the get down. We often see what one would deem a so-called Pookie and a Ray Ray to be that individual where if something's going on, we see it, and oftentimes pretty biased, and we can say, "Oh man, you stood around and watched that happen," But the minute, Big Mama point her finger, he going to make it happen. And many of us frown on that. We'll talk about a guy in accuracy. We'll talk about all this mystical, magical stuff. That only exists in our minds, and so just all depends on how we're viewing it and how we can attempt to bridge this gap. One would perhaps point to me and say, okay, that's a educated lame and all that. I don't view myself as lame, but since we're on that topic, I think that if we are, if those titles fall upon us, or we're in those categories, I can say that I have always had displayed some empathy for those who didn't come from who don't have similar backgrounds such as myself. I often once upon a time I couldn't relate to them. I couldn't relate to them in high school, but I never walked around as though I was better. I was never that one that was like I would never turn my nose up at them. If anything, I wanted understanding. My business partner, one would consider to be a Pookie, and the brother's very thorough. He and I are able to take care of our families like we never have been able to take care of our families before. Okay, so I appreciate him coming from where he has come from and being who he is today. Highly intelligent, highly skilled brother, and that's really what it all comes down to. Brother M1 touched up on earlier. We definitely need to turn things around and channel our energy into some positive directions. I don't fault anybody from where they come from, or perhaps even being a victim of their environment. But the turnaround process and the acknowledgement process can aid and assist with the healing process. Okay, now going back to bridging the gap, if you fall into that category, or if you've been placed in that category, being a so-called educated lame, again, we shouldn't be the type where, like someone mentioned earlier, well, we seen what happened to Nipsey Hussle, and I don't always think that that's the case. Nipsey Hussle, he was living a different type of lifestyle. Both before one would argue that he was a pookie. Okay, so that example one is an extreme. Um, you
You're
know,
right. It is an extreme.
my
Um,
business.
yeah, sorry to cut you off, though. That
Yeah,
was me that was saying that.
okay, brother. Sorry.
And what I meant by that, I kind of took it out of context. Of course, he's a pookie. That makes sense. We get
Mhm,
that. I thought people were saying that. I was like, yo, that's common sense. My man's is on the streets.
right. And see,
But
oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
here's the problem. He was giving back to the community, and the community, it's like what 9 Inch Nails,
Mhm,
the band, made the song, The Hand That Feeds.
mhm,
The dude was feeding the community, and the community bit his hand off. As
mhm,
a result, it cost him his life.
right.
As a business owner, maybe you can relate to this. You look at risk analysis, especially in the finance department. You don't see race, you see
Absolutely.
numbers.
Absolutely.
That risk analysis, that profit loss margin, you're going to have a bigger profit loss margin if you put yourself in a hostile environment compared to a docile environment. It's almost like night and day. You know, it, that's like me as a when I was starting as an adult, I was in a homeless shelter. I literally spent my 20th birthday in Grace Marketplace, Gainesville, Florida, Alachua County. And I decided there I couldn't start my business in Florida because one, there's too many faces that know me, and two, these are the same people who's going to ask for a free handout, and then they can possibly kill me because they think I'm thinking they're better than them. And I'm not better than anybody. I'm just a normal human being who just got a good work ethic. I just grew up with a two-parent household, did what I needed to do, and it is what it was. But it took me to move out of a bad environment to go into a better environment to actually flourish. And it's just like I look at Nipsey and I was like, dude, this guy might have been a thug, but he was trying to better himself. As a result, he tried to give back to those that try to better him and he got killed. Why would I want to do that to myself? Why I want to get Nipsey hustled? Why I want to hustle my life away like that? Does that make any sense?
I mean, I can see learning from other people's their lives, their what they've devoted to. There's some certain areas that he was committed to. And I'm sorry, Ray J, you were actually building when Zardrell cut you off, but go ahead.
No, it's fine. Excuse me. No, it's again in a nutshell. Because I was towards the end anyway. But yeah, with respect to both of you guys' points, they're both excellent. I it's definitely up to you whether you choose to give back, go back, choose to build with the community, and I just so happen to do that. It's not always as receptive. People don't always exercise delayed gratification, but again, with me, because I was there as a youngster, okay, and then got out, so I didn't get my culture from the household in lower income places. So when we relocated at a very young age. So perhaps it didn't really touch any of our siblings. We were all sheltered growing up. Okay, so again, because I wasn't able to relate to them on that particular level, I will say I psychology has always interested me. So when I see a certain pattern or some behaviors, it makes me curious as to why people behave in the manners in which they do. So with me going through certain schools of thought at a young age, being influenced by certain genres of music and things of that nature, it was easy for me to say, okay, this something needs to be done about this, and I want to dedicate my life without being able. I didn't want to be the guy on the megaphone. It's like, okay, through business I can be able to employ change and each, the old African proverb, each one teach one, has always resonated with me. And again, a lot of this comes from just, my upbringing. We never turn a nose about them. A lot of these people have family. I have dope fiends in the family, just like everyone, just like probably everyone else, and you name it. So we didn't just throw them to the wolves. We fed them, with a 10-foot pole, but we didn't. But it wasn't like, all right, cool, throw your ass back in the ocean. We don't need you. That's that's a mentality I've never adopted. And again, I feel as though if you're not interested in doing anything, whether it's through mentorship and things of that nature, that's fine. Hey, we wish you well, no hard feelings. Um, but the additional to get beat up on, I guess more so. I don't really see the benefit of that. You can give people tough love in other ways, and I do that with the youngsters that I often mentor. We're
Uh-huh.
we're joined at the hip, and I act as if I'm their case manager. Don't get any I don't get any income from it, but the ultimate reward is knowing that, hey, this is a youngster who perhaps you've been influential in his life to where he didn't go astray. Hey, if you can call me up anytime. It's my personal number. Let's chat. Let's rap. Hey, let's go out for lunch. It's on me. Let's play ball. I suck at it, but let's do it anyway. That's my thing right there. I believe we're doing it with the youngsters now. For adults, I will say that I don't have the patience to really try to school adults outside of business. After we go over a policy and educate you on it, that's the extent of it. I don't really have the patience to babysit adults, but with the youngsters, because they really haven't had their fair shake, they're not self sufficient. The patience is there. Okay, I even used to teach, and though it was trying, being you know dealing with disrespectful youngsters and things of that nature, it was still rewarding and satisfying knowing that you touch those. You see them in the store, you see them in the mall now, and they're just like, "Oh, it's Mr. Roche. What's going on? Let me take a selfie with you." All that good stuff, and they remember what you told them, and they're trying to pay it forward in their own respect as they venture off into higher levels of education. So that's my take on it. Just in the summing up everything that I just said, I mean, the gap needs to be bridged between the two, um, because I think a lot of this animosity, I think a lot of the snarling is coming from the educated lames. I never got teased for being intelligent. I never, people, maybe it's because I'm a guy of larger stature. I don't know. I wasn't getting tested, you know?
Mm.
And so when I hear people say, well, the intelligent ones got mocked, they got ridiculed and all that. If anything, people want to sit next to RJ so they could cheat. But
Mm.
I was very humble. um you know a lot of them are just hoping for something better, wishing for something better. For them to even come to school is is satisfaction oftentimes, to get away from whatever they're going through at home. To whom it applies. We know there's some extreme cases out there, the ones ditching and skipping. But then, even the ones ditching and skipping will much rather be out in the streets ditching and skipping than be at home where there's perhaps abuse and other things going on in the household that we're not privy to. So I believe in, I say each one teach one earlier, where each one, reach back, and if that's your interest, that's where your passion is at, then I say go for it wholeheartedly. But I think, since if we're the so-called educated lames, then let's use some sound right reasoning to reach back to those people, if we care, and see what we can do to continue to get involved and to change and help put a crack in this here thing, because my man's right here just mentioned he's Generation Z. If we don't do it with his generation, it's definitely over. Brother M1 mentioned that, I think over there in O'Shea's chat. If or something to that effect. If it don't happen with his generation, we're gonna have a hell of a. I mean, man, we have no idea. So I'm glad you're on this panel, brother Zardrell, and let's just continue to do what we're doing in our own individual community so we can take care of this thing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Quite
And
all
and the
right.
thing is, oh, go ahead.
As promised, we got to get some more of that AM1 knowledge in there. He is more solution based, And so when he talks about the distribution of skills and resources, I think that's a fundamental part of this conversation, right? Because we're looking at something that in many cases, even if we do yield the argument and say, yes, they are a warrior class to an extent, but it's pathetic what they're doing right now. We would still need those advisors, so to say, to come in and say, now, here are some of the areas where, as a warrior class, as one that needs to be fighting for global dominance, here are some of the key areas that they have to start investing in their time, their skills, their energy. We don't need to talk about the things that we believe that they are doing and where they're getting it wrong as much, but we can start to focus on some of those areas where they come naturally equipped, or by sheer time or whatever it takes, they could be better prepared to fight those battles that need to be fought. And that conversation only originates at the solutions themselves. So skills, to acquire the land, skills to acquire the skills to acquire the ability to protect yourself or to protect those who you love, and to protect yourself from things like deprivation, want, poverty, illiteracy, oppression, if that's the thing, police brutality, any of those skills that would be necessary. I would want Brother Am want to build on if he can come back in, and he has been on mute for a while patiently. So let's see if he's still rocking with us. Am, you still there, bro?
For sure. Appreciate the comments. BMT came in. He was on fire. The young brothers are drill. That's the hopeful right there. I like that. Gives me hope. Young brother right here coming in, what, 21, 22? And then RJ, appreciate you. Come with the gyms as well. A lot of these things we got to understand. It is like, if we're going to talk about collective, then it is, we got to consider regions. Different people have different upbringings from different regions. There's a lot of different things going on, but for the most part, we do understand Black folks have hoods, Black folks have the middle class, Black folks have the upper middle class. There's a lot of different the strata. That's just across all racial groups or whatever. So we got to understand that. We got to understand how these things apply in different regions. So just to set the tone for that, meaning here in the Bay Area, yeah, if you were more leaning towards speaking a certain way, or more was about education or art or music, you would get treated a certain way, as opposed to, the Bay Area has a background of some hood thuggery, pimping type mentality. So that's definitely true here. And you would definitely get shunned, teased, fucked with, if you were more about something that's more constructive. So that's definitely at play here in the Bay Area. And for the folks growing up from the 80s into the 90s, absolutely. So when we talk about the idea of educated lambs leaving the community, it's more like being pushed away from the community, because a lot of Black folks have made a personal or group collective association with, we just about aggression and fighting and conflict, as opposed to actual skills, learning, education, that being shunned, and it being just more about who's the dominant factor as far as who can fight better. So that's definitely at play, and that's something that we just cannot get around. So the whole Pookie Ray Ray versus educated lame thing, that's a fallacy. Basically, it's just saying proud thug, self-proclaimed thug, saying, I just want to be this, and I don't want to be educated in any other way that would force me to have to take time away from doing this, or for me to have to acknowledge that there are people with potentials greater than just me being the don on the block or the man on the block. So it speaks for itself. They want to make it seem like that's the high bar. So that's just one thing. Another thing we need to address, a major elephant in the room that a lot of people don't touch within these discussions all across YouTube, these different platforms and whatnot, these different panels. The idea that there are grown ass men above their 30s who are not even still out doing shit on the block, who still insist on referring to themselves as thugs or Pookie and Ray Rays. So the idea that that's how I grew up. I'm like, well, that's how you grew up, which implies that you grew up, right? That means you should have grown out of that. Why is it that the hood made me this, so this is all I'm ever going to be? So we understand that the hood is a formation of a white supremacy type concept, right? The government made that. So what you're really saying is you're a product of what the government made you. Like, nobody wants to be honest about that. If you're going to say, I'm just a nigga from the hood, well, what you're really saying is you're just a nigga that was created by some white folks who forced oppression on your people. You're waving a white flag and surrendering. Essentially, you're saying you are exactly what they wanted you to be. I'm like, how are people not peeping game on that? So if you're going to say I'm a nigga from the hood, I'm sucker free, a nigga can't play me like that. I'm like, well, you playing yourself then, right? Because you're playing right into their hands. So I'm not some hood dude. I mean, I've been in hood type environments. I've done what could be considered thug type shit. But at 41 years old, I'm not out on a block doing thug shit. I'm not, of that mentality at all. So why would I self-identify with that? That's a crazy thing in and of itself, and that's scary relative to this discussion about what is the progress, what is the solution, how do we get to solutions when we have grown-ass men who are still advocating for and trying to uplift that mentality, especially when they're not even still doing it. Now it's a whole other discussion if they're still doing it. Well, God, okay, well then you're actively, as a grown man, serving to destroy your community. But if you're not even doing it anymore, why are you stuck in your Al Bundy days back in high school when you're really just sitting on the couch with your hand in your pants? But you ain't thugging now. You married with children. You a family man now. You still advocating for that?
And
That's
see,
crazy. That's
let me put a
dangerous.
pin right there for you, and one. So that's I definitely don't feel the need to talk about the lesser of these, those men who are sitting at home sagging and doing all of that. I wouldn't define those as a part of the context of this conversation, the warrior class. And in fact, I would just have to yield with the very plain logic that not all self-proclaimed thugs are a part of the warrior class. But for those who are a part of the warrior class, who do feel like they're fighting for a cause, maybe focus that conversation a little bit more on a particular niche group of folks who might be considered warrior class thugs, and then help us shape the conversation around what it would take to get them back on mission. What does the mission look like? And if that mission is, the global excellence, or the global narrative, or the global character type, that is the black man or the black male warrior, or what does that look like, for us today? Not the least of these, I hate to divert the conversation into a more pointed conversation, because there is so much fact in what you're saying. And I think many people would agree with you when you look at the lesser of these. But being a solution based brother, I would almost say, like, you started off on the education and the acquiring of skills, or even the will to acquire those skills. That would be better preparation to fight those battles you need to fight. I think it started going in the right direction until you started pivoting back into the nigga sitting on the couch shit. I don't hear sit here and talk about those men. So if you could, I appreciate the fact that you are a skilled brother, that you have invested your time and energy into areas that are adding value in even troubled spaces or challenging spaces. You're taking the same niche, like all street, all hustle, some of the same catchwords, and you're re-empowering them in the minds of those folks who may have been lost along the way. For example, that all hustle streetwear, it looks like streetwear, like that lumberjack hat that I saw on your website. So amongst that was the skill sets that were needed, the will to create a website, to actually go through the process of getting products that were for sale, to open up your own storefront in Oakland, and to cater to a market that, more or less would agree, or at least identify or be able to relate to it, with even the product selections that you bring to the market, the black and the white, the plain colors, the plain text, plain fonts, things that would be appealing to those folks who wouldn't be the lesser of these, unless they have already established inside of themselves something about their warrior spirit, that they know what they're fighting for. That all street, all hustle is a different type of brand message, and it resonated with me when I first met you. And I think that's even a better testament to the folks who you were really trying to talk to us a bit about those folks who you would believe make up your market demographic, the all street, all hustle, and from that lens have the conversation about their warrior and what it would take for them to move into a more operable space.
Well, no, and I appreciate that and respect to that. But this is the thing. I was just kind of setting a premise for moving into that. Part of the solution is that we do need to be able to have discussions about how we can rally men to truly identify as the true men, soldiers, warriors that we need to be. And to be true soldiers and warriors, we have to have skills in order to gain resources. We have to have resources to fight a war. We have to have discipline. We have to have focus. So the reason why I brought up the detractors, because we do have grown ass men who are literally working against men of my range, men of my ability to say, no, don't be like a lame like him, be like me, who advocates for things that are setting us back. So we can't have one discussion without the other discussion, because we literally have people within our own community working against the very solutions I would even try to lay down. So I think that's why I wanted to address that first. But I see where you're going with that. I'm
I
sure
get
you
it.
see what I'm saying as well. So
Absolutely. It's like when you're doing a gap
essentially,
analysis, you have to have that segment of the gap analysis that identifies what are the real opportunity areas. What are we trying to overcome in order to get to the final part of that, where you're saying, now here are the solutions to get there. And that's what I was saying up front too. Like, many people won't be at the point of having a conversation around solutions, but let's not focus on them, and let's continue to just have the conversation. But my bad, man. I didn't mean to cut your bill. Keep going.
yeah, no. And I was just saying that relative to the idea that these are things I'm confronted with all the time, like whether it be here on YouTube or right in the real world, the kind of community work that I do. I literally work with uh, black men and women, mostly young men, varying ages from teens all the way up to my same age. I have dudes my own age who are saying, well, we niggas from the town, and that's all we gonna be. So when you come here talking about, hey, we could actually be, instead of everybody trying to rap or trying to stunt on niggas and trying to be some halfway fake D-boys, I'm like, hey, we could be getting behind the camera, getting on this media production, doing a lot of different things that could put you in a position to where you can work freelance and make a lot of money. This is Silicon Valley. Use that same hustle, that same all heart, all hustle. That's what that's really all about. I'm talking about freelancing. I'm not talking about no hood shit. People ask me what that means when I say uh, all heart, all hustle. I'm like, nah, I'm not talking about hustling on a block. I'm talking about using that same hustle mentality to really navigate in a way that's uplifting your people, taking advantage of this situation and using it to our benefit. This situation that these people have more resources than us. So we can get our market share of those resources while at the same time changing our perception of ourselves and for other people. So that's what I'm really talking about. Like that's the real it takes way more grind and heart and hustle to be a positive black man who's not trying to work against the people, not trying to be a criminal. Doing criminal things plays into their hands because as soon as they catch you, you're in the system. There's recidivism. There's a lot of things that are going to fuck you over if you do that. So they want you to do that. So that's not a rebel move. There's people who try to say, well, you if you do it, you're a criminal, you're a rebel. I'm like, no, actually, you're kind of playing yourself like a sucker because that's what they want you to do. So the real truest cats out here getting it in, grinding are the ones that are saying, hey, look, I'm gonna do legit legal things, use the true creativity that comes from that melanated warrior spirit and really get it in and be able to capture our market share and make these other folks have to come get it from us. That's a real soldier. That's how we
Mm.
move forward. That's how we get these goddamn resources. All this
So
other
the
shit,
economic soldier.
boy shit, economic soldier. Most of the wars being waged against us are economic and psychological by way of us not having our own
Mm.
media and our own narrative. So the war is being fought by way of mind control. We need to capture our image and our perception and reverse that mind control. That's what it's all about. Hence why I said we can't have dudes advocating for an image that is lesser than positive, lesser than what we truly are. Not to go back to that, but now you see why I had to correlate that first. So it all ties together. We cannot have nigga shit. That's all we gonna be. And we got brothers saying, no, we are black men. We are empowered. We are dominators. We are truly the custodians of this world. We have melanin content that is relative to melanin content in the soil, in the trees. We are of this earth. You know what I'm saying? Like we need to be rocking with that level of nobility and let our creativity flourish and benefit from that and profit from that and be dominating in these markets. Not just talking about who's who's from the what hood that don't we don't even own. Are you kidding me? Come
Mm.
on. I'll leave it at that. I'll leave. Go ahead, y'all.
Zardrell, come on in, man. He just said some shit, man. He didn't put it on the line for you, man. You got to follow that up, man. Go ahead.
Well, here's the thing. I'm more of an outsider, so that's why I kept saying I'm more of an outside contractor. The way I see this is that you all are making great points, but we need to start taking examples, live examples from different things. If we're going to talk about the warrior class, let's kind of just, I'm going to set the premise here. We have a place called San Gabriel Valley. AM1, you're from California. You know what San Gabriel Valley is. I'm pretty sure you've been there, where I've heard about it. And the thing is that as the black community, if you just take a note from that little area, that one little neighborhood, or I guess you say the collective of neighborhoods, then you can probably get enough information and enough education on allocation of resources that you can translate it over to the black diaspora, the Black American diaspora. This warrior class, I define the warrior class as something that is kind of versatile. It is the jack of all trades. It is able to adapt, is able to identify, adapt, and execute different missions and different plans on a different time scale, different region, so on and so forth. Metaphorically speaking, a warrior isn't necessarily someone who has to do physical war. Physical war is a war of the mind, like Am one said. Education pertains to the mind. We have all the tools that we have. Now we just got to watch the enemy, or I guess you say the so-called preferable enemy, and apply that to ourselves so we can actually use it against them. It's like picking up their weapon and killing them with their own weapon, or taking their weapon, studying it, and making something better than that to beat them at their own game. And that's essentially what needs to happen. And the thing is that when you look at that and you look at the education between blacks or Asians or blacks and Africans, you got to see we're kind of outgunned. So we have to take something from them in order to use it against them.
Mm.
That's how a warrior does it. A warrior is supposed to use weapons of all classes, of all types, of all natures, from all accreditations and diasporas. You're able to just go back and forth. You're able to adapt and execute that plan, that mission. Everybody has a different mission, but you still got to adapt. You embrace the suck.
And brother RJ, it seems like Am One at for once in his motherfucking light skinned life, he brought out something that I can almost agree with. You may not have to be, but maybe you can be an economic warrior. Is there some legitimacy in making or working towards creating economic warriors out of some of those folks who society otherwise for you, but your own couch and mating? Is there some legitimacy in being able to prepare men to be economic warriors?
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. Like I mentioned, um, I know we all have, again, we're related to them. We all know someone who's like, hey, if only, and if we um could surround them, if we could empower them. We got all this information out here. We're in the age of technology. I mean, there's everything's at our disposal, and so again, I've always been a supporter of bridging that gap of those two um, dynamics and saying, all right, hey, look, both can bring out the best in each other. And there's this little so-called beef, this little, I think it's make believe beef. This jealousy, this whatever you want to call it, this feud. It's time for it to come to a halt. If we are involved in those communities from which many of us came, there are so many gems in the communities. Those people that are going to the little community colleges, those people that are going to the public schools, and they're trying to navigate through it and find their way. Um, those are the ones that are often getting overlooked uh, and getting mixed in with everything else because of where they come from. I know I know adults who will see, little ones playing, and it's like I don't know if they're having a flashback, and they're, yeah, no, whatever the case may be, but they'll see like little ones playing because I've had a situation, real brief story, where my daughter was at a playground, and I was, was another adult there, and it just came on. He came right on out the blue and was just like, it's a shame that they better enjoy this while they can, because they're gonna it's a shame they don't know what they're up against and what they're going to. It's like, okay, well, hey, that's I don't know which one of these kids are yours. I'm not sure who you're here, monitoring, but that's your duty. I'm not for just sitting back and then being that guy that's going to complain. I'm all about rolling my sleeves up and getting involved again. Um, you know, you're setting them up for failure. You're setting anyone up for failure if you know something. And it's like, okay, I'm gonna whistle and watch him walk into the pitfall. Shame on you for not providing the lesson. Shame on you for not stopping them. Shame on you for not grabbing them by the hand or reaching out, touch them on the shoulder and saying, "Hey, man, you about to walk off on the ledge." Don't know if you've seen that. And that's my thing, to just sit right there and ridicule them and then assume that they're going to be in a terrible situation, um, because and they're just out there playing. They're carefree at this moment. let them enjoy that. But I always use those moments, particularly like dinner time or before bed with my little one, to educate her on the things that we often talk about in a very diluted way. So that way she's knowledgeable of it. That way she knows what's going on, and that's again, those are our duties. I mean, that's point blank period.
Yes,
Go ahead.
sir. Jay, let me get a quick second, man. Salute to the brother who just joined B1 Taz, the Taz exclusive, the GOAT B1 Network, man. Just joined the panel. A mid-sized YouTube content creator, has over 200 people in the stream on most of the streams consistently throughout the entirety, whether it's a 10-minute, just a quick drop down, or a pre-record, any of those type of areas where we want to kind of measure the success of these channels. I would say the brother is successful. 13 different channels a month because of all the flack and pushback that he might receive, but also one of the most intelligent brothers that I've had the opportunity to build with on multiple conversations. Now, I've been to Morehouse College and I've been in corporate America for a few years, and I've also had a hell of a lot of OGs who put me up on game. So what I do want to say is, when I say one of the most intelligent, it is that thorough knowledge of everything from sports to history to modern times, and to be able to be critically, to think about it from a critical lens. I do agree with most of the things that come out of that guy's mouth, but there are some areas where I do provide some pushback, such as Pan-Africanism, immigration, and things like that, and how important those issues are. But I know I'm fortunate to have a brother on the panel. I want to give him an opportunity to introduce his perspectives as well. So, B1 Taz, go exclusive, man. Go on and unmute yourself and go and come.
Can you hear me, bro?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
All right, yeah. I'm late to the convo, so I'm wondering if y'all define what the warrior is at all.
Yeah, you know what? I actually skipped right over it. BMT tried to lock it down a little bit by saying, can we refer to those between the ages of 15 and 30? Anybody older than that is probably a little bit outside of our scope. And then we kind of had a segue here when AM1 brought up an economic warrior, starting from a solution. What needs to be done in order to have that global impact on our message, our brand, on what Black men are in this world? If we are to call ourselves warriors, then what type of warrior would we be looking to create right now to get them on code and on mission? He said economic warriors, those who are exercising skill and agency. And so we haven't really locked down warrior yet. For myself, I know it goes a little bit of everywhere. I think the conversation could get convoluted because it can go so many places, but it's been a little bit open. Go right ahead, though.
Okay, so yeah, so I mean, right off top, I'm gonna just say there's no such thing as a Black economic warrior. I don't think we get that benefit of being different types of warriors. I think that's kind of what we look at now when we hear people talk down about what the community ain't doing and whatnot. I think the warrior class is non-existent. What I would say is that the people who are assumed to be warriors are just closer to what a warrior would be than someone that, let's say, wants to run from the conversation and doesn't really want to have the conversation about um, some of the factors that hold Black people back in this country. Those people who literally ignore that and skip over that and make it sound like we can just jump right into wealth and be okay as a collective, those people sit behind those who are assumed as warriors just because they do go against the grain. They don't accept the notion of everything's going to be okay. They have to create a way, so they know it's not just about having money, because there's more to it than just money. So I would say that there's no warrior class in terms of what it would mean to me. The Micah Xavier Johnson, the Nat Turner type of warrior, the one that, when you say warrior, people think of that person that's willing to, go and try to single-handedly physically change the game type shit. That I just don't think those people exist. You know what I'm saying? So I would say we don't have that class at all.
Now that's heavy. That is heavy. That is one hell of a statement to make. And in fact, it goes on, it cuts a nigga's pride. I mean, because every day I wake up, I have to question my own consciousness. Like, am I going hard enough in my economic spaces? And so in my professional life, I do work on economics and building small business success through sales consultations. I am in the credit and finance space, so I do come with a certain skill set to help more Black folks succeed. And I have a lot of folks, about 1,000 practices that I actually engage probably about 40 to 50 of them that I engage every day. And I would almost have to tend to agree that many of us are not operating at levels that says, I am going to change the game. I am willing to put it all on the line and make my impact happen by force if necessary inside of these spaces. And I think what might allude to that is the fact that we are still operating within somebody else's system, and that our ultimate fear is, like and one might allude to, getting caught, or the criminality element of it. Those folks who can tell us what we can and cannot do, and for us to either accept their rules and their standards, or to outright reject them. And if that was the case, that we were willing to do everything, then there would be more folks outright rejecting those standards. From my own lens, when I was thinking of Brother O'Shea, who I believe is brilliant with some of these topics, because if we ever can get to the subtle nuances of what he's really saying, it almost, and I know you can rock with this, when Cynthia G says, well, what the fuck is y'all doing to build community? Where are y'all men? Why aren't black men able to protect themselves and those other areas that speak to the true warrior? It could be a deflection or equivocation or just a watered down version to say, look, we had other priorities. We're in a capitalist nation, so the battlefield that we're in calls for something different. And in every war, you needed that Treasury Department to actually ramp up, so the logistics, the bullets, the ammunition, the other things could happen. You needed the political arm, where you needed the social arm to rally the people and get them. You needed so many different areas that the type of warrior or the mentality of the warrior had to change. Psyops, you needed people who were great at intelligence gathering, but you needed a multiplicity of different skills and resources from that warrior type. All of them could be a part of that warrior from a lens, but I don't think that's what we're talking about. And I think most people would actually gravitate to the warrior that you're more or less referring to.
But that's what we should be talking about, though, because that's
Quick
the
question.
landscape of the world overall. The world globally is about the psyops, the psychological warfare, the economic warfare, the technological
Black people
warfare.
ain't on that
Exactly.
bullshit.
That's
Right.
correct.
And one.
That's the objective
That's a
reality.
deflection to keep black people away from what's important. Global, nothing has anything to do with us.
It does. It
I
does.
would have to disagree.
It
I would have
does.
to disagree.
like
The global trade.
when you can't establish anything in the land you're in, how do you create a global conversation? You can't even do
Well,
shit
you're still
here.
affected though. It's like a person working on a computer. If you have a
Hold on. Let him
hacker in
finish.
the
Let him
system,
finish. Let him finish. Let him finish. Let him finish.
No,
Keep
I
going,
was
Ted.
done. No, he good.
oh,
He good.
oh, oh. Well, it's like a person working on a computer. This is just metaphorically speaking. I work with technology. That's the best way to put it. The internet is something that is worldwide, correct? We all have it some shape or form, right? So the thing is that we have a system. There's a built system you're put in. Whatever region you're using, there's going to always be another region that's trying to hack your region. You're going to either have to use the conscripts that you have and find loopholes in it to get to them, or they're going to find holes in yours and get to you. And the thing is, that's just the way it is. The same thing with economics. They have the same tools as you. They're using it. Are you going to use the tools to get back right back at them? Because in economics, it's tit for tat. They provide a service, you provide the money, or you provide a service and they provide the money. Or they're going to try to lowball you, or you're going to have to negotiate something higher and provide something else.
Right.
It's
That's
kind of
commerce.
just one of those
It's
things.
commerce. That's a description of commerce. That's economics 101. And
Why are we
it's
acting like black folks are in global trade? Again, I'm trying to figure out how
no,
We
it's an
all are.
analogy. Taz, it's an analogy. It's really it's based on
right,
this.
but it's
We're
a
gonna talk
poor one
about
because we don't represent any of that. We
Taz.
represent a
It's the whole
people in a
point.
We
country
are
that
affected by
we
it, Taz.
represent a people
But
in a country that are systematically oppressed and have been for over
I'm not
150 years,
systematically
Taz,
oppressed,
to
Taz.
the
so
point
Taz,
to the point excuse me, to the point where the rest of the world that you're speaking about acknowledges it. You're the ones that's not the
That's
rest of
part
the
of
world y'all
psychological
talking about
warfare.
doing this
They're
global
buying into the
trade with,
BS
they
while
know
you're
it.
getting fed it. They're thinking, they're
Taz.
making you think it and making you believe it while they don't believe it either.
Who's making me believe it?
They make you
Who,
believe the lie that they're
who's
feeding
they?
you
Who's the they
while
that's
they
making
don't
me
make
believe
you.
it?
The world that you're just describing, dude.
Right.
Let's say this.
The
All
world
right.
I'm
I
describing
guess
is the
this is the best
real
way to put
world.
it.
The
All
world
right,
I'm
here it is.
describing is the like
Hold
the
on,
United
Taz,
Nations,
let me
for
holler at that.
example.
Taz, let me holler at that, please.
Right,
Please.
right, right. Go ahead, bro.
Holler at that. So I understand. Believe me, I'm not like some of the brothers who say there is no white supremacy, there is no system to hold us back. I absolutely agree that systematically since slavery and beyond, they've worked to put us in a compromised position. There's no way of around that. There's objective reality truth. The bottom line is we are so far behind that a lot of other nations are just picking at our bones like vultures. Ultimately, what are we going to do to move forward? The playing field has been set in such a way that we have to play the game that's in front of us because we do not control the legal system. We do not control the economic system. We're going to have a market share in that to be able to operate in this world. So, do we just keep being poor and keep being pinned down, or do we get serious and get on the playing field? That's all I'm saying. There's no way around
Right.
that.
So how do you? Okay, so because like I say, man, like you talking about getting on the playing field, like black folks haven't been on the playing field and got kicked off. That's what I'm
So
saying.
we
Like
got to
it just
keep getting back. We got to keep fighting. We're very far behind. So we got
right.
so
Studies
so
Okay.
and
Right.
interviews.
So
do
when
we
you
keep
say we
fighting
got to
or do we
keep
give up?
fighting, no, I'd never say give up. But what I'm saying is, when you say we got to keep fighting, you're changing the fight to an economic argument, though. You're
Yes,
not.
because
You're not. When you
no
say keep
war is
fighting, that's
fought
not the
without
same
economics.
fight.
Economics is an analogy for resources. There, no war is fought without a war chest of resources. It's a fact. So there's no way to fight if you don't have resources. Bottom line, there's no
Right,
way around
right.
that, bro.
But there is a way to fight if you
Oh,
have no resources. That's
Wait,
that's
Taz, what are you getting at? I think you got a point there. What are you getting at?
okay. Your mentality is where it starts at. Like if you don't have a quote unquote warrior mentality, you're not even going to have the willingness to fight.
Right.
Like
okay,
so
but
so when
beyond,
you
brother,
say
beyond that, brother, beyond
Hey, y'all give me a quick second. We have one more person that just joined the panel right
Okay.
now. It's starting to get a little bit more back and forth that I kind of actually like right now. I would say this though, if you're a little bit squeamish, I heard that on my guy Boxing Egos channel. If you're a little bit squeamish about being talked over, then don't talk over other people when they start speaking. Let them finish their thoughts. But I do want to introduce my big bro who brought me into this YouTube space itself. I met him at the Sonetta TV Awards, and in fact, I had interchanged with him in the chat a couple of times on Sonetta. And now that's a different group there, the conscious community itself. And so, as you know, those perspectives can actually add a lot of value to these conversations because they've been fighting this fight for the longest. They've been talking about fighting the fight as well as fighting the fight. Brother George Macon has a very colorful history himself, and he's also one of the more educated brothers when it comes to the history of this civil rights movement and the struggle. So I want to bring him on, let him chime in. Where are the Black warriors at right now for the Black community? That is the topic on hand. It seems like the conversation moved towards economic warfare or fighting for economics. Is that a viable option to train up more economic warriors? Is that a thing? And that's where we're at right now, Brother George Macon. Thanks for joining us. What's your opinion?
Yeah, can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir. We hear you, but if you could turn it up just a little bit, we would appreciate that.
All right, I'm on my phone. I just walked in the house. I'm gonna get on my computer, so I'm gonna pause. I'll jump back in about 10 minutes. I'm gonna get on my computer.
All right, peace. Thank you.
Where did Taz go?
Hey, you're right.
he'll come back.
Yeah,
Man, China just took our dude. China just straight up took our dude.
what happened?
Man, China just straight took Taz. Man, rest in peace, Taz.
You ain't shit. Hey, man. Hey, RJ, we haven't heard from you a while. You heard the back and forth start happening a little bit once Taz came in and kind of gave some pushback on the definition of warrior to be a deflection if we look at economics. Now, I know you from your passion, you deal in an economic argument as well, and you're saying let's train up these 15 to 30-year-olds who are better equipped to fight economically, and at least if they only make it to the level of having their own family secure economically, then that would be a victory for themselves and for the Black. You wanna chime in right there for about 2 minutes? Damn, Rochelle, where you at, man? He ain't even listening no more. He probably listening to the Gap Talk Media discuss Fantasia right now. No worries. Zardale, AM1, either of you guys want to come back in and kind of add a little bit of context to the economic warrior?
Yeah, sure.
Let me holler at that real quick. So what I mean when I talk about economics, I'm right here in Silicon Valley, San Francisco. Billions of dollars just flowing through here, millions daily. All the big tech companies. I'm saying it relative to this, and I know a lot of Black folks that are eating off a lot of this tech stuff. if the way of the world is going towards a particular uh, if it's going in a particular way, if it's going with more tech, if it's going with more coding, if it's going to go to automation, if it's going to go to these different things, if it's going to go to
It's going
media,
cybersecurity now.
if it's cybersecurity, wherever
That's what I
the
study. That's what I
wherever the
study.
way of the wherever the way of the world is going, that's where we need to be going. If we're not doing that, then we're going to lose any type of war or fight, because anybody who has more resources than us, resources that are gained by way of the millions to billions that are being made off these things, they're always going to pin us down. Another big thing that's going on in the Bay Area is more real estate development. We need to have a foothold in all of these things. There's no way
And it's
around
being
that.
bought up by Chinese people too, isn't
It's
it?
just a false argument, man.
How is that a false argument? I'm talking objective reality facts.
No.
Like people,
And
like
one,
a
you're
big,
right.
You're not
You're
check it
giving
out.
the
No,
right.
no,
facts.
no, check it out. A big
If you were
thing, a
giving the
big
fact,
thing.
you would have to acknowledge that the group that you're obviously trying to compete with in Silicon Valley would be what, Asians?
Actually, the
It's not a
truth
matter of
is,
competing with anybody. It's whoever. I don't care about the race. All I'm
You have to.
That's
I
something y'all
want
both don't
more.
know.
You live in America, bro.
I want more black folks to have a market
Dude,
share in all of these things. That's all I'm
yo,
saying.
this
Why
is
would
something
anybody
serious,
argue with
and
that?
y'all need to
Why
know about this.
would anybody argue with that?
This is something
What?
serious. Y'all need to know about this. That
Go ahead, bro.
H-1B visa thing, they're bringing in Pakistani people, and let's say that H-1B visa, right? They'll bring them in, right? They'll start in Atlanta, but they're going to Silicon Valley. Google, Facebook, Twitter will hire these people, but they're making $7 an hour. They're not making as much as you think they are. And the thing is, they're kind of getting tax breaks on it. So they're hiring Asians, but it's not like what you're thinking.
Cheap
When it
outsourced
comes
labor.
down to that,
Okay, easy.
they're outsourcing it, but it's at home. We're at home. It's not going to India. They're coming here.
I get it.
They're outsourcing it here in their own backyard while working
But
in their
what
own
race,
backyard for
Just
tax
race
breaks.
group are we comparing ourselves to, though?
just yet another
I
thing
mean,
that
because
I'm
when
not.
you say, like, because
I'm
here's
not
my
making
thing,
a.
I'm listening. So when I hear we behind, we this, we slipping, we that, 2053, I hear the talking points. But when I ask for a specific, I'm trying to pin it down right now. So who you saying we behind?
For me, I'm not saying I'm behind. I can't speak for a generalization of anybody. What I can say from my own experience as an employer and as a student, it's like I look at it this way: we all have the same tools. It's either you use them or you don't. If you don't want to use them, that's your ass. That doesn't matter if you're black, white, Asian, or not.
Yeah,
If you
we
don't want
don't
to use
all have the
tools,
same
then
tools, though.
Yeah, man, I would disagree.
you
Gotta
have
be
some sort of
that
tools.
crazy shit.
You may have
You
access,
all have,
but access is not ownership. Go ahead, Am. When
right.
you're trying to come in.
Yeah, no, I was just saying it directly to what I'm seeing right here proliferate in the Bay Area. I'm in a lot of across a large spectrum of a lot of different things. What I'm saying is this: if black folks are an extension of my family, then I want my family to thrive. If I'm seeing that everybody around me, as far as the communities, are buying up land, buying up homes, and immersing themselves in more of the things that are the wave of the future, I feel like it makes sense for myself to learn those things, and by extension, my family to learn those things, so those people won't be able to leverage those things against us. That's it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, but like I said,
That's it.
but if as long as you're downplaying what's going on out there, that's the problem. Like I'm saying, like, for example, we comparing ourselves to other groups that you're not readily identifying. You literally sat there and made a whole argument about how we're slipping behind, but who are we slipping behind?
Other groups that have more resources than us. It doesn't matter who.
Like
It's a matter
who?
of what.
Well,
Well,
it matters if
I
you're
guess I
making
guess
that
that's what it is.
argument.
I guess that's what it is. You're focused more on the who. I'm focused more on the what. The what is that other groups who have already had centuries head start on having wealth that we don't have, and have control over the legal system, have control over the media, have control
I
over the educational systems. They control
honestly,
all of that because they have more wealth. So
the
we
whole
No,
should
black
be trying to
community
have
is
more
no,
wealth
that's
so
distracted.
that
not
we
why
can
they
come
control
back
all
at.
that. But
Oh, okay.
you can't buy the
Let me
justice
shut up
system,
then.
dog.
Then let me know, Tess. Educate me on
Can I
how
speak real quick?
we're gonna sort out the technological challenges, the legal challenges. We know then, bro, because you got it figured out clearly.
Yeah, I absolutely do. I mean, because that's why I'm trying to
Hey,
pin down
Taz.
your argument and trying to see who you are telling me that we're behind.
Taz, I just got one question straight for
Everybody
you.
that
It's
I'm
not even
seeing
a
in the
loaded
Bay Area
question.
that has a
You see what
larger
I'm
market
saying? Like,
share
I
and all
mean,
of these
why do
technologies,
we have to keep
all
doing
other
this?
races, other racial groups. I'm saying it
What
directly
other
to you.
racial group are we behind?
Asians.
Chinese folks,
Okay,
Asians,
now, okay,
Indian
so let's
Asians.
stop there. That's what I was waiting for. The predictable answer. So white
Well, my
folks, I
fiance
know
is
they
Asian,
Either
dude.
way, why does it matter?
it
If
it it,
are we
We're
it
behind?
behind them.
matters because it's not
We're
Are we
behind
true.
them.
behind? Period. Does the
No,
who matter,
no.
or does
Yo,
it matter
Hey,
if we are
Zartrell,
behind?
and one, stand
bruh.
down for a second. Let him go on and build, man.
Yeah,
Y'all
go ahead.
turned it into like a little back and forth argument, but he's going to make a point if we
Oh,
stop cutting him off.
okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying like, okay, so we're going to say we behind white people is not a legitimate argument. That's normal. That's our situation. That's the overall fight that we've been in that niggas don't want to have. You don't want to have that fight, so you're introducing Asians as the competing party that's moving ahead of us. What I'm saying is in 2018, Asians moved ahead of us, all right. They have moved ahead of us in income inequality. It is
I
more
said
of
Asians, though.
them fucked up than it
But I
is
said
of us by percentage. They are top heavy. They just have a bunch of rich people, but they got a lot more poor people. So they're not passing us. They're only passing us in the ways that we would want them to, not in any way that we would want to be like them. They're building off the backs of their poor. We're not.
Now we could take one of y'all responses
Mm,
right there, but then we got to bring in Brother George Macon. So he's saying
hey,
that look,
brother,
you're looking at the Asian group and saying that they're ahead of us in
I
competition.
can.
You got it wrong, but it's top heavy. The income inequality is that there are a lot more poor Asians. They are a smaller minority, but a lot more of them are poor. So what is your rebuttal to that statement? And then we'll bring in Brother George. Go ahead.
my robot.
Man, I wanted to say something. All right.
We'll flip a coin, motherfuckers.
All right,
I'm
look,
saying
look,
this
look,
through
man.
everything I'm saying is through the lens of what I'm seeing develop right here in the Bay Area and Silicon Valley. Other
Dude.
groups, whether it be Asians, I'm talking Filipinos, I'm talking Indians, Indians from India,
Oh,
Pakistanis. I'm seeing a lot of different groups immersing in real estate, tech, a lot more than I
M1.
see folks do it. That's all I'm saying.
M1.
And when that kind of
No
moves the
white is
goalposts from
Filipino.
the Asians, we can probably
Holy
handle them
crap.
individually. Go
Come
ahead,
on, dude.
Zardrell. You said you have an Asian wife. You go ahead and rebuttal, and then we'll bring in my brother George Macon.
Here's the thing, like, Taz, you're kind of right on some things, but my wife wasn't rich. She isn't rich. I'm not rich. And the thing is that it comes down to like work ethic. Like, I'm not even talking about economics at this point. I'm kind of off of it. Let's just talk about cultural values and just general ethics.
Nope, we will
Like,
not deflect
you
right there. We will not, brother Zartrell. George Macon, go on and come on in with your first premise, man. You know we're talking about black warriors and the warrior class, man. Where these niggas at, man? Go ahead.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm listening. Then I guess my contribution to it would be as far as is it asking where are the black warriors at? That's what it is.
That was just a hypothetical that I put out there. It was a reframe from what O'Shea put out there, which was our Pookie's or Pookie and Ray Ray, the black warrior class or the black warrior or the warriors of the black community. That's how he kind of put it. And so I just kind of took the topic. I couldn't remember what it was exactly. I just made one myself.
I think that warrior class that we once knew, my father in them era and grandfather in them era, kind of like they was in prison and murdered, died off, kicked out the country. So like our warrior class, it kind of like got derailed. It got we lost our vision. So I think that I don't know because I'm listening to the arguments. My thing would be um, how do we get because we got a lot of young people making moves and doing stuff, but I believe that there's a lot more of our people that could be doing things, but they got these mental shackles on their head. It's kind of like brothers got a lot of intelligence, but to really like look for the stars or think that they can achieve great, we still got this thing we believe the white man gonna take it from us. So like that warrior spirit, to me, we got it towards each other, but like we don't got it in a situation where we willing to compete, work together, and compete against this white man.
Back.
I don't
Hey,
know.
it's crazy. You and I, the first time we heard the topic, we came to the same conclusion. It was a mental game. It's about will to fight, and some of that has been lost.
Yeah.
And even when you brought it out, that look, we're off mission right now. We're off code. We kind of brought it out a little bit earlier. We were saying, look, there used to be advisors. It's a multifaceted war where everybody may have a specific niche that they do. You know, some people shoot, some people fly planes, some people are psychological ops, intelligence, communications. Some people are just a part of the treasury. And I think that moved the conversation to this economic warrior, and there's going to be a viability there.
Yeah, Taz did something important today. You know, we did videos last year. Was being you, we broke down certain things about our past, but he was showing people like Stokely Carmichael and and all the people in the past, and he was showing how you had different groups that was moving and doing things in their lanes. Our people today, like a lot of our people today, when I'm on the ground and I'm doing my real estate and I'm doing things, a lot of people got defeated attitudes, man. Like we're defeated. It's just like a lot of people. It's just, I don't think that they're comfortable with the status quo, but they don't have they don't have the fight or the thought process to get themselves out of it. And that's what I see today. Like I don't really see like a lot of warriors. Like it's the video Taz did today. He showed a lot of the warriors, but they was our grandfathers. So I mean that's just my my intro coming into it.
Yes, sir, and I appreciate that. RJ, if you've made it back, go on and unmute yourself so I can see that. Other than that, I think Zardrell was trying to pivot the conversation to one that examines culture and hard work ethic as being a key differentiator. And I don't know if he was referring to from the warrior class or just in general. If I could ask, if you kind of use that same argument from the lens of developing a warrior class. Now, I don't care if you do economics or politics or whatever you define as the warrior class, but if you could kind of pigeonhole those cultural arguments into something along the topic lines, I think it would be valuable. If you just want to say other people have better cultures than us, then I'm going to mute your ass. As a youngster, I hope you can respect my directness. Go ahead.
No. Well, saying is that every warrior has a will, right? So the thing is that with the will, it comes values. It comes down to that, your warrior culture. If you have a will and if you have values, you are pretty much unbreakable. You're practically bulletproof. Don't matter about economics or any of that.
Now you're going to need some skills too and some equipment. You're going to need a little bit more.
Real skills.
Real skills
get the job done.
Chest, send a mask.
Hey, think about a Russian person. They don't have money. Dude, they got a knife. And they got their will. They're going to dig a 16-foot hole.
And then when you say values, we know America was established on criminality. So you're going to get some pushback there at a 22-year-old youngster. So they way up.
I got to push back.
America was fought on war, period.
I got to push back on
war is killing. Either way. So I'm not knocking you on that. So it's just what it is. That's the building of America. That's in the past. I can't change that. I didn't even exist. I wasn't even in my father's
day. Hey, no worries, man. There's books for that.
Hold on. Push back.
Go ahead, George.
I'll tell y'all something. And this is the problem. This is the problem with our people, man. And I'm just gonna say this shit just flat out. We gotta stop this fucking shit that when we do something, we expect everybody else to be on the same thought process or be moving the way we do. Nobody been through what we've been through as a people in this country. I don't give a fuck about Russia. I don't give a fuck about Cambodia. As in America,
it was an example.
Psychologically. But then what I'm saying is, if I'm on the block and I got the mindset to change things and begin to acquire wealth, that don't mean that everybody else next to me is. But I got a mindset to work with the economically intelligent brothers to create things. We can create resources for our people so we can change and turn the tide. The situation that we're in, we didn't create this vacuum. Now we're adding to it. Oh, hold on. We're adding to it now. But a lot of you Negroes, you go get education and you start looking at your own people through the same stereotypical lens that the system created for us.
Wait a minute.
Go ahead, Brother George. Hey, he doesn't understand the nuances of the social content creator that one day you need to come back to these video and audio clips. And so he keeps cutting off your build. Hey, Zardrell, I'm going to ask you one more time. Please don't cut him off, because if he needs to come back to this footage a little bit later.
Let him rock, because he's going to learn. See, because I'm listening. And I'm listening to, and what I'm saying is this. We got to stop looking down on our people because they're not where we think that they should be, or they didn't get what we think they didn't get to where we at. That's not how it operates. Our job is to create resources for our people like every other group do. The reason why these groups got cultures because they fight to maintain a culture. Our culture was disrupted, and we've been sentenced in this country to a lifetime of consumerism. And when you look at that shit, this is why the way we operate the way we were designed to operate in this country. We didn't come from nowhere else. We've been bred here. Everybody else came here as immigrants already with intact cultures. So you can get an Asian fucking woman, a white woman, I don't give a damn. The black man and black woman, our shit is tied to each other. And until
I'm not tied to anybody.
Can I ask you a question, George?
I'm listening.
George, can I ask you a question?
I'm listening, brother.
You said that as far as, we shouldn't have people looking down on our own people. And I agree with that. But at the same time, you said we should just be focusing on us all gaining resources. So I guess my question would be, what do we do with the folks that are actively not seeking to gain resources and making every excuse not to do so? How do you handle those folks?
That's a very easy
free rider challenge in society. That's what's up. Go ahead. Good call out.
That's an easy question to ask. And this is the thing. This is where we make mistakes. And not to diss you, A&1, but some of our people not as intelligent as I think they are. Because we already moving and grooving and doing shit. We ain't got to worry about them. This is the whole thing. The economically intelligent people are the ones who's supposed to come together. It's kind of like when you watch gentrification in communities. You know who's supposed to be gentrifying our communities? We are. We got enough educated people where we can work together to make those millions of dollars to redo our own people. That's what our ancestors were fighting for. How the hell do you think these Montgomery boycotts and all these things were successful? Because they was working together. The problem is we look down on the people that ain't doing shit, but we ain't doing shit together. But we educated. It's bullshit. We are integrated into everybody else's shit, but we won't integrate with each other. And I call bullshit.
Right. So for the people who are working the resources,
niggas ain't working together. A&1, stop it, man. Not on a scale where we can see it.
Can I just ask you a couple of things as a young guy to older guy? My question is this: my father went through the civil rights. He's 73 years old. He had the cross burnt in his yard, so he's a living piece of history. He lived through it. What if we all gathered our resources? Now we got our resources, right? Like you're saying. What if we don't use it? Now what?
That was the dumbest question ever in the fucking history of questions. What are you talking about?
How?
What if we all gathered our resources?
You got all the resources and you don't want to use them. What are you going to do?
Why would intelligent people?
Yeah, that'd be a waste of investment. I don't think we wouldn't. I don't think we wouldn't do that. You know what? There was a new and I stepped away for a minute, Brother Moses. I apologize for just coming back in abruptly. I just want to say this real quick and I'm gonna mute back up. But there was a in Nashville, Tennessee, just north of me, there was another there was a black owned beauty supply that cleared 50K his first day. So nah, man, if we build it, they'll come. Not to hate to be cliche, but that's a hell of an example of what type of power that we have and that we can implement.
Some of y'all show in y'all comments just how fucked up we view ourselves as a people. See, we see Asians, we see Arabs as people that can actually do it. But when it comes to black people, oh no, we can't do this shit. We gotta go get an Asian woman. We gotta go get a white woman. We gotta go get an Arab man. The only way we can actually move and do something, we gotta do something with non-black people. But when we start talking about black people, our ancestors before us, every right that we got because of the unification of our fucking ancestors, man. Some of y'all niggas today disgust me, man, because I ain't worried about the nigga in the hood. I'm worried about the educated nigga. The educated is nothing in America today stopping brothers from coming together to put their resources together where we can be redefining our own shit. The only thing that's stopping y'all is y'all keep making these excuses about the niggas in the hood. That's some bullshit.
Well, you're asking us to create some resources for them, and they're not using it and wasting it. That's the problem.
Wait. Let me holler at that. There's something we're not addressing here. There's something that we have to address here. Again, we all agree that we have been set up for failure by a system, essentially rich white folks who set up this country, set us up for failure, right? This is all still at play. The reason why we're having a tough time getting educated or people who have more wealth and resources as far as black folks working together is because we have that same system working against us. And first and foremost, by way of us not controlling our own media, aka communication lines, which is a warfare tenant.
Well, we don't believe we can control our own media. We don't believe. We believe Pookie and Ray Ray gonna fuck that up too.
I think we can. But Pookie and Ray Ray can fuck it up.
But see, we got our media right here, though. That's what I'm saying.
Pookie and Ray Ray can't fuck it up.
No. Let's really talk about this. First of all, we don't have our own media because this little micro platform we have is on somebody else's platform who's not black. That's a fact. Next thing, the main mass media that is pushing the images of black folks is not black owned too. And they're using specific imagery and certain narratives of certain black folks to try to uplift that as if that is what all black folks are all about. That's true.
No, with these platforms, if you're not acknowledging the power of them, I don't think you're giving benefit to what someone can do with it. I watched Q Butter.
All I'm saying is they're not black owned. I'm just saying they're not black owned, which is true. I'm just saying they're not black owned, which is true.
I understand where you're coming from, man. We do have Black Avenger and we have Black Spot.
Nothing that you're at Silicon Valley ain't black owned, but you showed on mine referring to it. We can't just bring up black owned when we try to talk about. We can't just throw black owned. We can't just throw black owned in there when we're trying to create a talking point to benefit ourselves, bro.
You actually just made my point for me, as you always try to sell my point like it's a personal thing. I don't have anything personally against you, but I see that you always
talking about
me. Let's check it out. You just made my point for me. The point I was making about Silicon Valley is that we need to capture the market share here. Thank you for making my point for me.
Yeah, but that's not the same point. I'm not talking about capturing any market share. The point I just, excuse me, bro. Hold on right quick. The point I just made was that you can use this platform to build black platforms with it. I gave you an example of a black platform that was built off of this. Now, since you want to take shots, just because your bitch ass can't build a platform on here, maybe you don't see the value and the power in it. Watch your fucking mouth.
Always got to devolve into some nigga shit. See, that's what I'm out.
You took the shot, nigga. Watch your mouth.
You always want to come at me directly like you got something personal against me when I'm making points about how we uplift the people. You want to?
I just showed you how. I gave you an example. His name is Q Butter.
Example, yes, piece the Q Butter. I get that, but what we really need,
but nothing.
Platforms that we own and control in its entirety. Thank you.
He's in control of it in its entirety. That's his shit.
Man, that's great.
And I don't disagree with us owning it in its entirety, but I mean, but because where we are, don't you agree that we have to like crawl before we ball, brother?
I totally agree. My point is this: we need to be doing that across all forms of media and tech that are moving forward. That's all I'm saying.
Every business small with a small investment.
But isn't that like one of the most vague arguments you can ever make? We need to be doing the best we can at anything we're trying to do.
Here's the real point. Because I see where this is going, as it always devolves. Bottom line is this.
Right. When it comes to that basic shit, yeah, it's going to devolve.
Check it out.
You got powerhouses here now. You can go.
YouTube is not black owned. So at any point, they can pull the plug on us. Dummy.
Right. Just like they can pull the plug on you niggas in Silicon Valley. Just like they can pull the plug on your bitch ass anytime they want to. The problem is you only want to acknowledge they can pull the plug when you're making an argument against somebody else.
Bring the intelligence, bitch ass nigga. That's all you got? That's a high bar.
Yeah, you just gonna ignore what I said? You're only going to ignore it. You're going to always ignore it as long as it's not talking about pulling the plug on you. If we're talking about pulling the plug on you, you'll ignore it.
If I'm on YouTube and I don't own it, the plug can be pulled on me.
You don't have to be on YouTube to get the plug pulled on you. Ask Byron.
I agree. I totally agree.
I know you agree because I know what I'm talking about and you don't.
I speak Pookie well too.
It's always against me. Always you don't. I'm cooking niggas. I'm through with these knuckleheads. Grow up.
Nah, that's I think what happened right there.
Well, you have to.
Hey, he just left the platform as well. But I think what happened was the fact that you're able to address the point or a contradiction in the point is what really made him most salty. He brought up the example of Silicon Valley, which was more of an integrationalist approach that he was referring to at first. And then once Brother George Macon came on, he talked about full outright ownership, having your own and black people working together. So what's the variance there is the difference between going to Silicon Valley, finding those brothers who had been operating as individuals under that system and saying, look, We have our own platform, we have our own spaces, and we need you to come on home. Right now, you're working with those other folks. And in war, yeah, there are those Benedict Arnold or turncoats who will choose to work with the other or the opposition or the competitors before they want to choose to work with us. I think it brought out what George was saying about the psychology, though. He was saying black folks, once you start talking about black folks coming together, you'll find those folks just like AM1 did. He said, well, now they'll pull the plug if you're continuing to operate. So it killed his original argument and moved into the other one. Now he doesn't like the bitch ass niggas and the pussies and all of that shit, which made him leave. But I think the point still stand valid, Taz, when you started going into it and pointing out that contradiction. The mission is not clear. Is the mission for the independent and for the black community and the black warriors to fight on behalf of the black community, or for people just to be warriors and fight as individuals? And I think that draws out
Nevertheless,
I didn't make it personal, hey, but just for the record, but I wasn't trying to make it personal. I disagree with that point, though. You can't tell me YouTube ain't meaningful. You can't tell me, oh, they'll pull the plug on that when you've already introduced other things that the plug can be pulled on.
Hey,
you can't just acknowledge white supremacy when it's my point.
Hey,
and he took the shot, bro. That's all I'm saying is once you take a shot, I might not have control of myself for a minute.
You know what?
Hey, you started laughing when he was
pull the plug on everybody else. They'll certainly pull a plug on the black man. It's going to pretty much happen because YouTube ain't black owned. I get the point.
We can make this real simple.
Silicon Valley ain't black owned.
Yeah, watch this. All we got to do.
Exactly.
We can make this real simple because see, a lot of y'all dudes like to complicate shit, right? And it's a joke to me. I live in Philadelphia, a city that has almost 800,000 black people, right? And the problem that I have when I'm listening to some of these people on black YouTube, they talk about, well, the black community, they're not going to support, they're going to mess it up, they're going to do this. But when I walk through the hood, I see the Chinaman ain't scared to come in the hood and open up a shop without the police being around.
Exactly,
nor is anybody else. This is the problem that y'all need to understand. This is how I know people ain't that bright. When you start putting economics together, nothing's going to happen overnight. You have to listen. When they had the civil rights movement, they didn't expect to get things passed tomorrow or the next day. It was a projected period over time. Well, during these certain cycles, we can get this done. Maybe we can get this passed. Maybe if we do this, we can get this passed. It's things you have to put resources together and say, okay, well, where are we in 10 years? Where are we in 15 years?
Right. So George,
yeah.
So George, let me stop you right there and let's go back to this.
Right.
So if we understand that, why wouldn't we start building right here where we have a media platform that we can use to build other media platforms?
Because these niggas is elitists. They keep saying
we literally see the power of it.
Yeah.
To hear somebody downplay it is like,
thank you.
Minute. So what you're telling me is but basically what you're telling me is you don't respect the business I'm trying to create here.
No, they
you know
don't.
What I'm saying? Because obviously this ain't doing business up to par of what you see business as.
Right.
This ain't on the same level of what you think is respectable. And I think that's insulting, bruh.
But that's how they operate, dog. This is what I'm saying. I've seen this on many scales. So now if we say, you know what, we're not going to have all the amenities that the white man going to have right now because we're building here. But in 5 years and 10 years, maybe we'll be in a position where we can compete, and it'll be our own. So let's do this. You know what niggas will say? Pookie and Ray Ray going to fuck it up. Well, the more and more you build in the community and the more and more you acquire resources, your Pookies and Ray Rays begin to dwindle. See, if you study history, every community had goons.
That's true.
But they built their shit up over time.
Mm-hmm.
We keep talking to using this Pookie and Ray Ray excuse. That's the dumbest bullshit I've ever heard in my life. It's a lie. If we come together and create resources and project and put things together over time, your community will begin. But you have to be invested. We're not willing to invest in each other because the white man water is colder. The Asian man water is colder. We don't like each other. Period.
Honestly,
there's no other way around it.
Absolutely.
George.
Who that? RJ? Go ahead, RJ. You build next.
Okay, cool. And I'm glad George and Taz said exactly what they said because I stepped away for a moment, so pardon me. But what I went right back into it kind of goes back to what we were mentioning earlier, which is we understand. I've never been that one to point the finger at a so-called Pookie or a Ray Ray, man. George just hit it right there. As you create more opportunities, because this dope stuff is, or if they want to call it, we'll just focus on that for right now. That shit's dried up. The next thing, the next thing, as far as like when a community is building itself, the community itself would rebel against such people. Because they're like, hey man, we didn't came too far, we didn't work too hard, man. You ain't gonna come up in here tearing stuff up. So they'll definitely dwindle away. You know, they won't be completely out of existence. You know what I mean? That's just the nature of man. But it's not like we'd have some widespread of them. I'm gonna tell you something. I don't know the last time you guys were in Detroit, man. Detroit has so many empty homes and so much stuff that I mean, we complaining about this gentrification. Somebody, I'm down here, but I'm gonna tell you something. After I finish doing what I gotta do here, as my bread increases, that's gonna be a honey hole for somebody, man. So I'm serious, man. So like I said, we keep on talking about the hood, but it's like there's so much money that we could be making in our own hoods, man, to where there's nothing to even complain about. Like George said, you gentrified yourself. When Ramil mentioned he was going to do that when him and Taz won the Rumble a couple of weeks ago. Hey, guess what, brother? I hope you do. You know what I mean? Please do. By all means, I hope you do. You know what I mean? Yeah, there's no hard feelings about you gentrifying, Chicago, Ohio, or whatnot. Hey, leave some for me. Don't buy it all up. That's all I gotta say.
You know where else being gentrified but the hood? Because that's where the money is. But
right.
Niggas is too stupid to realize that shit. They watching other people come. I told them, you don't have to live in the neighborhood. You don't want to live in the Southwest Philly. Don't live in it. But that don't mean that you can't own a bunch of real estate there. Where
you don't even got to be the face of your own business. You can own it by proxy, and you can still put your Asian wife, Zartrell Youngster. As you start to build out more businesses, she can be the face of a business if it's even a nail salon. But it shouldn't stop you from owning one, even in the hood, just because you're afraid of competition or disruption.
But that's how I know that these niggas ain't that smart. These people who claim they got education, they are indoctrinated. They're not educated. Everybody, listen, the Dominican man don't even speak English. He come here and open up a fucking corner store and become a millionaire in 5 years, and these niggas got all kinds of degrees and can't even get a job. These niggas are dumb. You supposed to own the community where you live at, and over time it'll change. Ain't nobody else fixing our shit but us. We ain't got no friends.
Here's the thing. Since y'all mentioned me and all, I was just listening.
Yes, sir.
And I was gonna let y'all keep going on, but here's the problem. The thing is, if I was gonna put a business in the hood, and eventually I will, I'll have someone else running it. I'll hire some Arab dude. He'll be my employee. He won't own it, but I will.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
He's going to be the face of that. While people pay him because of mentality, people is going to pay him because they don't see him as black. And guess what? He's going to be paying me, which I am black. I could walk right down the street and be the owner of the whole block.
That's the problem. You are the problem.
That's not a problem because the thing is, I'm giving people jobs.
Burn it down.
All that you never asked me where the money was going to go. You never asked. You never asked.
I'm going to be honest with you, young brother. You as a black man, if an Arab man do that, that's a problem. But it's worse if you do that. I'm gonna tell you why, and I want you to understand why I'm saying this to you. That right there sounds like listen to what you're saying. You're gonna open up a black store in a black neighborhood and hire Arab to serve black people because you don't believe in black people can ever get themselves out of the situation. So you are.
But that's what I've experienced in Richmond. I can only speak for Richmond, Virginia.
Listen to what I'm saying. Whether it's Richmond or Philly, it's the same. This is what I'm saying.
No, it's not. Yes, we might be living in two Commonwealth states, but it's two different things.
Listen. Nigga shit is nigga shit, brother. I don't know. Like nigga shit is nigga shit. Period. It doesn't matter if you in Compton, fucking South Central, Southwest Philly, Chicago. It don't matter. Black people's. Listen,
the thing is, you have to study your demographics as a business owner.
Listen, fuck all that shit.
If that's what I've noticed, that's what you know. That's how you're going to get money. All right, if you don't study that, then how the hell are you going to get money? You're not going to get money.
I'm going to say it to you again.
Who are your number one customers with your barbecue business?
My number one customers are those who are in my area. That's Cedar Falls, Waterloo, Moore County, Blackhawk County.
More specific.
They're black, white, Asian, and Latino. All
greatest percentage of them be black though? Would you say, brother Zargel?
It's 50-50 split.
Okay.
All right. So again,
with 4 races.
So again, you see people like you.
If we were to go black and white, it's 50-50 split.
People like you are the problem, and you don't. The sad part is you don't even see.
How so?
See, this is the
thing. How am I a problem?
I'm going to tell you. If you don't cut me off, I'm going to tell you. I'm going to listen to what you said. So George making us say, hey, I'm going to go get a store in Southwest Philly that's multiracial as well. And I'm gonna own it, and I'm gonna put an Arab there to serve my people. What I'm saying is you're perpetuating the stigma that's on our people. The only way we're gonna fix this problem is for you to co-op with other black people that think like you. And how about you buy up a whole lot and you open up 10 stores? We gotta start working together to change the psychological change that's on our head. I'm not opening up a store.
I honestly,
listen, hold on. I was quiet.
I got one better. I got one better for you. I'd rather buy the lot. Hold on. It's coming up. Hold on. Let me say this though. I'd rather buy the whole lot and let other black people build a business there and pay me rent.
That's
it's
fine.
way easier.
I don't have a problem with that.
That's better.
See, that was different because you said black people buy it
right.
or
I don't
rent
have a
from
problem
you.
with that. We're not letting no Arab.
But
we're not getting no Arab to serve our people, man. Listen to what you're saying.
If I was in Richmond, what I've noticed is mostly Arab stores. So what I would do in order to get the money and put it back in our community, I would get an Arab dude. They'll get a familiar face.
And
they'll pay the familiar face.
And you're young. You know what you're doing though? You are never ever working to change the mindset of the people there. They're going to always be subconsciously subordinate to everybody else but black. We got to change that mindset.
You're still getting the economic stream. The money is going back into the community. It's not entering my hand.
No, it's not. See, this is the part where y'all be thinking y'all smart, but you're not. And I'm going to show you why you're not smart.
How? Again.
Let me go and don't cut me off. Let me educate you for a minute because you said two things that was dumb. Now, if you got an Arab serving our people where it's already a bunch of Arabs and everybody else serving black people but black people, if you continue to perpetuate that cycle of black people psychologically conditioned to be subordinate to everybody else with their money, then that money is going to never stay in the black community. It's going to always go to everybody else. It's never going to circulate. The only way we're going to fix this problem and the Pookie and Ray Ray problem is to have economics circulating through black people where we learn how to be psychologically worthy to each other. We're not worthy to each other because we're not dependent upon each other economically. Y'all come and say y'all smart, but then y'all say some of the dumbest shit in the history of the world. Every other group is like, yeah, let them dumb niggas talk that way. You know what? Yeah, let them.
All right, can I say something now?
He said 2 points. Give him a second.
And
all right, here's the thing.
The second point was, and I'll mute up. The second point was when I first came on, you was talking about the communities. I was talking about the communities and basically the Pookies and Ray Rays and the warrior class. And the only way you're going to change that, you have to psychologically condition black people to be subordinate to each other economically in a capitalist society where everybody's competing. So when I came on, I said, we got to co-op together and create businesses and put 10, 15-year plans on where we're going to be. That's the only way you're going to break this shit in a capitalist society. You cannot continue to have black people purchasing products from other groups that don't look like them. It will never change.
Now, first, before you go in with your rebuttal, do you understand what he's saying right there? And if you do, what is it that you think that he's saying, and then say what you disagree with?
He basically wants the money to circulate into the black community from a black person to serve other black people. Am I correct?
Wrong.
All right, but go ahead. Okay, so now you think you know what he said.
It's a psychological thing. Black people have to psychologically learn to be dependent upon each other economically.
That's being dependent on each other.
It never work.
The money's gonna pass hands. Someone black is gonna have a service.
Our issue is psychological. It has nothing to do with the money. It's our culture. It's our dependence. We're not.
So now the cultural values.
Oh man,
what I'm saying is this.
Let me mute up, man. I can't talk.
And I can only speak for Richmond, Virginia, which I grew up from. And I can only speak for Iowa. Most store owners were Arab in the black community. Okay? What I'm going to do, I'm taking someone else's culture. I'm using them. They're not getting the money. I am.
Reverse
I'm black.
Appropriation. I got it.
Exactly. Use someone else to get the money and put it back in our own community. And use that money to help each other and grow psychologically and to break the problems that we have and to move forward. The Arabs ain't getting nothing out of this whole thing. We're getting all the money and all the advantage.
Hold on, bro, George. Bro, George, let him get it out.
This guy dumb.
That's the whole point. This is what I was saying. You're thinking the Arabs are getting the money. No, they're not. The money's coming from another black person back to me, and I'm just using the Arab as a mule.
So
it's really simple.
Sardro, let me add some clarity here. You're 22 years old. You have 3 businesses running already. You're in school, and right now you're working towards looking at the
More
market.
investment properties.
Already invested in properties, and so now you're looking at the market, which is an entrepreneurial, a pro-entrepreneurial based market. You're saying, in order for me to achieve the level of economic status that I would like, and in the economic war that you're fighting, you're saying I would want to, or I would consider employing a Arab to be the face or the store, the behind the counter inside of an area where that's what they're used to. They're used to going and shopping with an Arab. Is that kind of correct?
Yes,
All right, and I think this is
exactly.
where the disconnect is. On a psychological front, if you're looking at, and bear with me, in this instance, you're looking at a demographic that is not used to seeing Black store owners. And because of that, they are
Right.
not aspiring towards that same level of success that you would have had. And
Right.
so what ends up happening is, rather than moving from a soldier, a private, to a general in this economic warfare, where now you're empowering others to move forward, now these soldiers have to remain at the bottom level of privates because they have not identified yet with a sergeant that they can understand. What I think he is saying is, if you know that there are like-minded individuals, 22 to 25 years old, 22 to 28 years old, maybe even a little bit older than that, but that are in your generation, they're also educated, they're also getting their real estate, they're also opening up businesses, then why not use a Black person so that those businesses that start interacting with your businesses and your conglomerate, they're seeing a Black face, something that they can ascribe towards. Even if it's in West Virginia where it seems like the Arabs have the monopoly, why not create the Black face there to where those people can psychologically learn, heal, and grow and aspire towards becoming a better sergeant in that economic warfare? I think that's the distance.
I'd
And so I
rather
would ask that.
instead of setting up something, I'd rather invest in them so they can guide themselves on the forefront and teach everybody else.
So would you rather
That
invest
way,
in them or open up your
I'd
own
rather
business?
fund them.
Those are two different
I'd rather
terms.
fund them. I'd rather fund them with my own business
Can I
and
jump back
invest
in?
in them by that way
Can I jump
And
back
then
in?
versus try to
I think that's their
trying
strip club,
to
though.
do
I mean, it's
that.
a good position, though, and I would wish you the best in that. And in fact, if you have levels of success in that, man, keep us posted, man. Don't be no stranger when you come up through these networks. Through the B1 network is one good place where you can get solid information. It's going to make you think, though. It will make you consider history. It will make you consider fact, and it will make you consider a perspective that says this world is not ours, and nation as Black men to start binding one to the other and building ourselves up together. And so I advise you, or
Well,
I don't
Moses,
know if I can advise you, I would encourage you to keep coming back. You're 22 now. Most of the folks on this panel are in their 30s and 40s and such. So keep rocking with us, young brother.
Moses, now you see why I call myself more of an outside contractor.
Oh, yes. I mean, I
Now
can
you
get it.
call
I
it
get it from a
too.
number of lenses.
Oh, I
I
ain't trying to
use
hear that shit, man.
I
Fuck all
use
that.
my tools,
That's coon talk. I ain't trying to hear that bullshit. Fuck out of here with that. Let me tell you something, man.
and that's why you're failing, George.
No, I'm doing way better than
Trip.
you. I'm into real estate too, and I'm doing way, and I'm 22 years older than you. 22-year head start. Fuck your felon. Let me tell you,
Okay, George.
I don't speak for me.
You're
I
gonna
don't.
lose
I don't
everything.
speak, let
I'd
me
rather
tell you,
buy you out. You can call me a coon all day. I'll just let my money talk, dude.
listen.
Money talk and
You sound like a
bullshit
white
walks.
man now. See, this is the shit I'm talking about. I just let my money talk, dude. Get the fuck out of here with that shit, man.
Yeah, it's that Robert Smith approach where I can.
Listen, but that doesn't mean anything, because this is the thing. He's 22 years old and he's talking like a 22-year-old. Like I said, I was 22 when he was born.
All right, George.
I was already acquiring real estate and doing all these things. I've been doing this shit. This is nothing new. So when I speak with intelligence. The problem that he doesn't understand, where he's saying he wants to get the money and reinvest it, but image is everything. If you're not promoting that image for young people to aspire to be, then that's nothing. This is the whole thing. I'm gonna tell you how stupid this is. He thinks because he lives in Virginia, when he sees Arabs there, Arabs has a monopoly in all the communities. You got Arab and Indian liquor stores and chicken stores all in Philadelphia, everywhere. This is not nothing. You're not saying nothing that don't nobody know. So what I'm trying to explain to the people is, when we're in these auctions and we're buying properties, you know who's in there, Moses? Russians, Asians,
The damn
Arabs.
Turks.
They in there together, the co-op. You get brothers in there. You got 2 brothers over here from North Philly, another brother from South Philly on the other side, and another brother in Germantown, and everybody's scared to come near each other because we don't want it. You don't want that nigga in your business. Well, all these other groups is working together. They working together, collabing. They own whole blocks. They getting government contracts. They getting everything. But you know what black people is doing? We working as individuals, and we're weak. So now in the city of Philadelphia, you got brothers that own properties down here at the Temple University area, where a lot of them were starting to get indicted from old cases from 10, 15 years ago. Why? Because those other groups that's there is in the pockets of city council members, and your property that you have is sitting in the way of multi-million-dollar investment properties, and you don't want to sell. So they just put the feds on you, locking these niggas up, and nobody's there to protect them because they're working as individuals. They're not putting their money together to buy a city councilman or to get certain people in pocket. So what I'm saying is, you got to have that visual. The same way that drug dealer in the hood in Richmond had that visual to make that young kid aspire to want to be like that drug dealer and get that Benz. You got to create that image in the hood to say that we can do this shit. And if you're not doing that, if I'm putting a fucking Arab, putting him,
I guess my focus is on different places. Maybe it's we're beating a dead horse with you,
man,
dude.
man, go beat your dick, man. Get the fuck out of here, man. I ain't listen. That shit you just said to me about you just buy me out, dude. Man, get the fuck out of here, man.
I'd rather buy you out, bro.
Yeah, I know.
All right, thanks for coming up, Zartrail. Appreciate it.
I know, white boy. Get your fucking ass out of here.
See, and that points out a big point too.
I smell coon from afar. I've been out here a long time, man. Listen, any black dude just say, "I'll just buy you out, dude." He don't hang with no fucking. He don't hang with no black people.
Now, there's a bigger picture that is still being missed by, and this is where we're at, though, Brother George. The 15 to 30 and the hearts and minds of them, because right now it's just easier, and it seems like it makes common sense just to deal with other races, to the point where when they look at blacks, they see inferiority, they see failure, they see, all the mistakes and things, and they project business. So when I look at it for myself, I say, look, there's McDonald's franchises out there, but then there's also, Q Butter School. Which one would be the better investment? And I don't give a fuck how many mathematicians and analysts and statisticians and all of those different issues in this motherfucker could try to crunch the numbers and say, well, what a return on investment for a McDonald's inside of a white neighborhood will get you, $60,000 of residual income stream. The better return of investment for me would always be the Q Butter classrooms. How do we make that go global? How do we make access to that form of curriculum and that education? It's more powerful because it speaks to the hearts and minds. But if you're only going to speak from the mission of I made money, then you're going to miss out on the complete mission that was actually assigned to you in this generation. It wasn't for us just to get a bigger bag, but it was for us to actually move the needle forward.
Remember, Moses, I said that we suffer from I can't wait to get the fuck out of here mentality. A lot of us can't wait to get the fuck out of the hood. And we see the way he was talking, but I seen it when I first came on. I was listening to him talk. He has this mentality that I'm above the niggas in the hood. That's why he can make a statement where I might cuss him out, but I would never make a statement to another man. I'll just buy you out, dude. Basically, you're beneath me. Because I don't think if me and Taz arguing, we cussing each other out, it's certain things I'm not going to say because he's not beneath me. He's just getting on my nerves at the time. So I know the difference in talk. He sound like a white man.
Now, even when I asked him, I said, what do you identify as? Are you African American? He said, I identify as American. He said, I am African American, but I identify as American.
So he doesn't even associate. But
he doesn't share the value. No, not at all.
He has the illusion of inclusion. So he believes he reached the level of certain success where he's above. So now he'll say, well, I'll just buy you out. He don't know anything about it.
So the only thing I can say, Brother George, how is it even worth it trying to get through to those types? Or do we kind of look at them the same way they try to write off the Pookie and Ray Ray and just say, look, everybody can't be saved. I don't have a Jesus complex.
No, just look at the arguments we had. If all of us was on here arguing, right, we'd be like, fuck you, Moses, fuck you, Taz, fuck you, George.
I'll laugh at you niggas.
Yeah, we'll never be like, dude, I'll just buy you out, motherfucker. Or something like, nigga, you...
I'll buy you. Nino Brown shit. Yeah, I'll buy you. Hey, Nino Brown, your ass, George.
That's
Nino Brown, my dude.
Yeah, that's the you niggas ain't on my level material type shit. But what I'm saying is, Him making a statement that he will open up a store, put an Arab there to serve his own people. You know how self-defeated that is? Listen to what he's saying.
But George, man, them niggas don't even realize they sound just like the niggas they claim they ain't nothing like, bro. They sound just like that nigga on the block. Like, bro, I'll buy all this shit up, nigga. You know what I'm saying? Like, they sound just like that nigga, bro. They ain't no different. You know what I'm saying? Like, they just do different shit to get their money, but at the end, they got the same mentality.
Yep. Yeah, but they don't think that
buy you out. I'll
they
price you out. I got more money than you. I'm more important than you because I got more money than you. It's the same mentality.
And you know what is gonna happen? He gonna end up like them same dudes on the manosphere who can't get a woman to save their life because all they think they can do is walk in and say, "But I got money though." Nobody give a fuck about that shit, man. Your sense of purpose is skewed. You're still off mission, and even though you're deflecting, I was looking at warrior from a different lens until we had the conversation. But even the economic warrior mentality just says, "I will buy off black people or buy out black people, and I will replace them with an Arab figurehead."
No,
and that's the mentality that we're going up against.
His mentality, Moses, is I made it, and you trifling niggas should be doing what I'm doing. And he alluded to that. That's why when I came on, I said we got to get out of this thought process that everybody.
I cut that shit off earlier when he tried to go to that culture and work ethic and the reason why Asians are women or sorry, he has an Asian wife, but the reason why Asians are winning is because of their work ethic and their intact culture and those things that they're passed along, which didn't even address Taz's argument that says, but most of y'all are not. He just kind of said, yeah, my wife wasn't rich when she started, but now, you know what I'm saying? And so it's that same mentality that we keep having this circular rhetoric around.
Listen to what he said within the argument. He said that, but then he come around and say, he talked about Asians being cultured and his wife and all this, but then he said he would use an Arab to serve his own people. Because that's how little.
And that's my thing right there. It's like you'd be better off having a brother work there. I mean, why even pay him at all if you can help it?
Yeah, he took an L on that one.
We understand why they do it in reverse, because I have plenty of guys from Yemen and places like that had to have nothing but black employees. But you know what? Eventually they got rid of the black employees once they became established and brought over more people from Yemen. So yeah, that's not cool, man.
And rather than seeing it in reverse, we have these spaces where we're starting to take over and there's more black spaces. We would only continue to perpetuate the Arab-owned or Arab-occupied, owner-operated stores. Now, he may be the owner at some point once he continues to get his chips together and continue to invest smart and keep working hard like he says he is. And by all means, keep doing your thing. The point of contention that we would have is that it would not be a black perspective or a black business if you continue to just allow other civilizations and people to own and operate it.
See, that's the problem where I was trying to get everybody to see. That's how much he view his people. He doesn't view his people as some like we're less than a penny with a hole in it. I view my people so less beneath everybody else that I would have to get an Arab to go serve my people. I'll make the money. But let's listen to what he said. Let's unpack it. He'll make the money. We can give it back. How are you giving it back to the people? They don't even know you. You got an Arab.
That after charity, which is I've already employed and empowered somebody else, but now that I've done that, in order to make it right, I'm going to pay my tithes and offerings back to the community. Yeah. I think he was doing like a money circulates because I have a store, I'm black, and if I give back, then there'll be, my taxes are going to be the benefit to those community members or whatever. And that's not what we're talking about here. We're not talking about just increasing the tax base, but the ability to fight and to thrive inside of a capitalist nation. And in order to do so, we need black pillars inside the community, not just those those puppets.
We need more. We need more Winston Willises, like we did last week.
They scared of Willis, man. They don't want another Willis George. They was never listen to that. Yeah, we still live. BMT gonna come on up, man. You see the link in the chat. Let me give BMT the link again.
The fact that he has a barbecue business. I can salute the brother for being an entrepreneur. But he mentioned that with his barbecue business, we're a part of that majority that's supporting him. So by all means, get your money from all groups. There ain't no argument there. But we're part of that group that's supporting them. So I mean, that speaks for itself that we're willing to come through and support our people. Like I mentioned, that news that I had read last week, that motivated me to want to talk to frat brothers and other black men. You know, I'm not going to sit here and pretend. You know, I've complained about the weave, the lashes, the nails, and all that. But then but because I'm business minded, had a sister say, "Well, RJ, instead of complaining about it, won't you go open up one?" I don't really have any way of refuting or debating it. So it's like shit. Hell, you know what? That's something that could be on the horizon in the future. But I think on day one, they cleared 50K. Let me tell you something, man. I got plenty of Korean clients in my portfolio, and they've cleared 50K in a month. I've seen some do, you know, a little bit more, but in a damn day, man. Oh,
Taz said something. Taz was cleaning them niggas up yesterday on the Rumble, and I'm gonna tell you why. When they got to that part about programming, like he really went the fuck in, and I'm gonna tell you something, and I think that was really important. When you get a chance to, when you see a young black man come on here, what the fuck? Look at BMT, the avatar.
That's Black Jesus. That's Black Jesus.
When you see brothers come on here like that, that's the epitome of the programming. See, the thing is this, man. Every group come here is to compete. No matter how much we may say Arabs don't like black people or Asians, they don't have a problem selling to your black ass. Even that white supremacist will sell to your black ass to boost his economy in a fucking heartbeat. The problem is we really don't believe that we can compete because they've done a major job on us, keeping us. Remember we did the video, Moses, how the federal government created ghettos, how they systematically kept us out of the economic loop. Yeah, we don't understand what that did to us psychologically because we haven't passed down economics generationally. We don't see the relevance in each other. So no, I'm not going to support BMT because I never had to really support BMT. I'm used to going to the Arab and the Asian. I'm not buying from BMT. I'm buying from Mr. Lee. That's from generations of what they've done to us. So our shit is psychological. So you gotta have black images.
To the point where they say Mr. Lee got the best, and I only mess with Mr. Lee. To where if you keep doing that generation after generation, or let's say 5 years at a time, they've always saw Mr. Lee's store and never saw Mr. Jenkins' store. Then of course, at some point, Mr. Jenkins is now irrelevant to his own people.
There you go. And you know what we gonna do too? Man, fuck BMT. I ain't buying from that nigga anyway. Fuck that nigga. That's how we talk because we're not used to it. And the capitalist society, that's a death sentence in the capitalist society.
BMT, you left a little bit like right before the economic warrior kind of came out. So they kind of pivoted away from just the whole fighting. Are you down to fight? Would you put your life on the line? And went more towards the economic warrior. B1 Goat said it doesn't exist. You motherfuckers ain't gonna win. You're not going to win. But that economic, how did he say it? Hold on, I took a quick note. Anyway, if I find a note, then he said no such thing exists as a black economic warrior. The warrior class is non-existent. We get close to it, and there are people who have levels of success as individuals, I would add, but an economic warrior, no way, no how. We're still playing in that game, but not fighting in that war, if we could say it nicely. What are your thoughts on that?
No, I'm going to say there are economic warriors because there are people who literally, whenever they make at least about $20, they'll give at least about 16 of that dollars back to the black community, and they're just do it. I can't say that because if that's the case, then we wouldn't be seeing privately on black schools. I believe I sent the goat. Goat, did you get that interview I sent you? Did you get that interview I sent you? I'm gonna send it to all of y'all. I did an interview on a privately owned black school in the South that's been standing for 25 years. That was built by a black man for his wife. In 6 months, he did that with him and his sons. There are economic warriors. It's just that you're looking at short-term versus long-term battles. Like wars don't get won in just 1 week. We should all know that. Some wars take years. You know, you gotta understand you're looking at the power curveball of what a nation versus a village. So your growth versus them, and this is why, like I said, I didn't jump at the Pookie when me and you started talking. I said at one point the Pookie, you know what I'm saying, was, you know what I'm saying, keeping watch to make sure that, I'm not going to let you come here and burn down, you know what I'm saying, Grandma Macon's house.
We're gonna fight y'all and shoot out. And that originally would have been the policy for no snitching, because you wouldn't tell on the people who are protecting you. If I'm off key, you got the brothers in here, they can jump at me. I don't care. But that would have been the time where that would have no snitching was the code, because those were your vigilantes. Those
No,
were
that's
your
true.
people.
That's true.
There were your people that were doing. See, I can talk about this because we got them in our community in the South today that they're old men. However, as you get older, the younger generation, as the stories start to dilute and go old, well, granddaddy, I don't see the fruits of your labor. So then my fight is no longer your fight. You gotta understand, like, some people train their children how to be warriors, versus some people like, I don't want my kids to suffer like I had to. I don't want, you know what I'm saying? There are some black men who did die out there, and the mother's like, I don't want to lose my son. That's fair. I do not penalize you. I don't want my daughters to go out there into that mill and risk the same injuries like mama did. My granddaddy worked inside of a mill, and he got lung cancer because the mill was not safe for black men. So there were different types of forefronts that were being fought. Now, when we look at the Pookie today, we're looking at it where this model of what we call the Pookie, they do not defend as the old Pookie would have been defending. You see, you're comparing two different types of warriors. You're comparing one that understood that, and because, mind you, when you look at it, you're going to be looking at it from the era of before that they could go to march or do any type of civil service. They had to get trained that you were going to get fucked with by the white man. You got George right here. George will tell you. So they had to train them to have that type of discipline. However, on another hand, on the offshoot hand, you have the hot branded type of youth who's like, fuck that. I'm not going to allow you to spit or hit me. I'm going to fight back. And you got to understand there's two different sides of which side you wanted to be part of. Now, after King died, that ideology of fuck it, we tried it his way, it didn't really work. But if it did work, King will still be alive. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So that the self of, I see what y'all did to my people, and we played by the rules. So I'm gonna be like y'all, and I'm gonna take what's y'all. I'm gonna take what's mine, because and you can't tell me this, because unless you were one of those dudes who carried a strap on you and know that you got to make that type of money, you can't tell me shit. Because I was that dude. If my doggone girl said we needed that rent money, nigga, I was gonna get that rent money before the end of that night. I promise you that. I was gonna get that check. But I wasn't doing it for the community. I was hurting the community. I can open up about that. So I wasn't somebody looking to help. And I get what you're saying, Brother Moses. Is like, you can't help the community by doing that kind of stuff. But see, then if you're inflicting harm upon the community, because that's what the gang went to. That's what the gang went to, where you see this in history where generals, after so long, you got to worry, because when that military power gets so strong, either they can keep on protecting the people or they can turn on the people. You can talk about the good that the gang has done for the people, but then what happens when the gang starts to realize that, yo, this fight is going to be an endless fight. So fuck it. I could just take over this property right here that I'm defending.
But see, BMT, the problem with once you get to that point, when you get to how they start killing off our leaders and imprisoning brothers and running them out of Stokely Carmichael and them running them out the country, killing people, that mission became skewed, because what happened was you started the drug war. Now you got Nixon being president, they started flooding our communities with heroin. So now those freedom fighters got hooked on heroin first. They even got some of the white people hooked on heroin, and they start locking people up, and they changed the mission. But now it became economics, because now you have, what they did was to stop that "Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud" movement. was to flood the community with drugs. This is how diabolical these people are. And once they see it with that, we can create a prison industrial system and make a multi. We can actually have the drugs, we can control the laws, and we can control the prisons. So now your Pookies and Ray Rays that was defenders of the community became drug addicts and drug dealers. Because remember, they had already created economic deprivation. So it's easy to put the drugs in the community after you created policies of poverty. So what I always get at is your Pookies, the educated people, the Pookies is really irrelevant because once you start putting resources together, you have the ability to change the community if you own it. But the problem is black people keep using the excuses of look at the violence in the community. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. If you go into the community and you get up on a Monday morning after the weekend, you're going to see thousands of black people going to work. The majority of black people go to work. Mm-hmm. And they're waiting for a resurgence or a reinvestment back into the community from their own fucking people, man. Like it's just a bunch of bullcrap. What happened was the white man created an economic surplus based off of the dysfunction that he created under the Nixon administration with that war on drugs shit. That's what turned the Pookie, because he didn't want no more Stokey and Carmichaels and Malcolm X's. They became your Nicky Barnes and them. He knew what he was doing.
Right, and the thing about it is, in George, me and you, we buy brick and mortar. We go hard on that. I don't mean you had that talk, and I had a talk. I think Taz was there on Mr. Fantastic's panel earlier yesterday, and I was talking with a young brother about why it's important to buy brick and mortar, and especially in the community. And the brother was saying that's irrelevant. You don't need to, and I was like, no, that's very important. About you, that's why I know. That's why you're laughing, because you're like, no, bro, you need to go buy brick and mortar. Fuck it,
right. You need
fuck online. Brick and mortar is what you need. Like you can look down on it if you want, but that's that's generational wealth. Yep. And the thing about it is this, because I was going to do a talk with a brother who owns a barbershop who just got robbed.
Oh shit!
And the thing about it is, it discourages black ownership,
right?
Because when you attack those type of pillar cornerstones of the community, that discourages black men and women to want to do that. I don't want that phone call where I hear that RJ's barbershop, you know what I'm saying, got robbed. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know what I'm saying, then that will discourage me from you know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to, but see, if you are supposed to be a protector, why are you attacking those who you're supposed to watch out for? If you're my brother's keeper, that's why I said that slogan is dead.
Yeah, it's been dead. But that's
hey, let's do this real quick. I got about 8 minutes left. There's 5 of us on a panel, so let's close out with some real strong thoughts here on. I guess my title may be a little bit misleading. Where are the Black warriors or the Black warrior class? May be a bit misleading, because now it's like saying, are they in jail? Are they in politics? Are they in economics? Are they aligned to the same mission? And it's almost asking for individuals to be brought out. And I only just recognized that when our brother Ray Alexander came on, and he said members of the Black warrior class today are leading cities like Morehouse College alum, attorney Randall Woodfin. At 38, he's a mayor of Birmingham, making it a tech hub and a business center for young entrepreneurs. And I see that can go a number of ways, right? And so because it's a little bit everywhere, I would just like to get everybody's last thoughts on just this topic in general. It doesn't have to be on the title that I put. It can just be in general, the Black warrior class. Do they exist? If they don't exist, man, damn, where are we at right now? What do we need to do? And I think I can start here by going with BMT. He was the last to join. Then who was next? Brother George, the GOAT, RJ, and then I'll give my last thought. But if we could close out real quick, that'd be to the best.
Yeah, and peace to the chat, and thank you, Brother Moses. This was good. I hope we do this again. As far as it goes for the Black warrior class, I'm gonna say it's still there. It's just a militia. It's just a militia now, where select few have to play guerrilla warfare. You'll have your brothers who can teach those how to integrate into certain systems and bring back the resources. You know, That's honestly the only way that is possibly going to be the best way, because right now you can't say you have an army. You just have guerrilla warfare fighters. And to take down an army or take down any force, you have to train them how to learn that system, but keep in mind and in heart your system. And until we start learning those type of fundamentals, then you're fighting a feudalist battle. But there are some people like Brother George, like RJ, like the Goat that are doing that. I would just probably be just an outsider, but I mean, I truly believe that those brothers, they are your best bet of, what I'm saying, just teaching people like, hey, it's don't be ashamed of learning the system, but learn how to take away from the system and bring it back to those, so that way they can pick up on how to maneuver in the system. That's true warrior strategy 101.
Um, I'll just say real short, sweet. We got to understand, like, literally what programming is, and until we get to a place where we're culturally dependent upon each other, we're in trouble. A brother can open up a barbershop and they can get robbed because a brother don't see the importance in that other brother's life. He's not dependent upon that brother. Um, and because he's not dependent upon that brother, he doesn't feel like he's morally responsible for that brother. When you want for your brother what you want for yourself, the only way you get that in a capitalist society is the economics has to flow through the community, the schools, the dentists, the insurance company, all of that stuff has to be in the community that you live in, man. And it has to be a generational thing. Until we start thinking like that, we in trouble, man. As a people, I live in Philadelphia, and the area that I grew up in Southwest Philadelphia, and within 20 years, well, from 1996 up until now, you have an area called Little Africa where they own a 10 block stretch of nothing but businesses, and you go through there, it's thriving. Black people patronize their stores, but we've been living in Southwest for a long time, and we never developed that because of the mental change that's on our head. We're subordinate to everybody else. That's why you can have a young brother that come on here and talk this way. A lot of people don't like when me and Taz go off the way we do, but we're trying to tell you something. Like, our situation is psychological. You don't like your sister, you don't like your brother, you don't see the relevance in them because you never had to be subordinate to them. And this is the problem. So it's nothing for a young brother to come on here and say, I'll open up a store and employ an Arab dude to serve my own people. I don't think that y'all even understand how much of a problem that is. That's just so insulting. And a lot of y'all missed that. A lot of y'all missed it. Me at 44 and I'm getting older, man, it's just like, it's real disheartening. And I'm afraid for my children going forward. So I'm just gonna rest on that.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, well, let me turn this shit back up, man. Ain't no fucking economic warrior. These niggas pussies. They running from everything a warrior has ever stood for. Um, your individual accomplishments don't make you a warrior. I don't give a fuck what you personally buy. The things that I do personally will never make me a warrior. What make me a warrior is the fact that I went and stood in front of them fucking police and city councilmen on behalf of another black man. It's when you willing to do that shit for others. You know what I'm saying? It's when you willing to stick your neck out when it ain't necessarily to your personal benefit all the time. So, like, pushing it to, if you just buy enough or provide a job, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's really sad for me to hear like the definition of what a warrior would be changed to an economic argument in a place where like my people got hung and ran out of towns, and just, I mean, you know how long I can go on that little spiel. So I mean, it's like I say, man, I be annoyed with these niggas, bro. Like, I just don't even have the energy to talk nice to them sometimes, bro, because it'd be like, what the fuck you talking about, brother? Like, what the fuck do you know? Are you that fucking dumb? Are you that obtuse? Or are you on a mission here? Do you really just enjoy putting us down and make us look like we can't do nothing? So I appreciate it, brother Moses, man. I always got to come to a motherfucking B1 panel when I see one.
Yes, sir. RJ, bring us home, man. Home stretch. He done probably stepped away. I know he's doing business and things too. I don't see his mic coming off mute. He gonna still be here. We gonna be gone in the motherfucker.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Hey, look, man. Hey, we're fighting a battle on many fronts, and the battle that we're fighting on many fronts. As long as you got that B1 attitude, you're more than welcome to come and rock with me. Every once in a while, we're gonna have to vet some of these folks. We're gonna have to let them talk. We're gonna have to let them get it out there because we don't even know what we're up against when we're dealing with some of our own people who have lost their way. They may not be soldiers. We're not raised as soldiers and don't have an ideal or an ideology that says, I am fighting on this battlefield. And because they don't see themselves as fighting, it's easier for them to distance themselves from those who are actually on that front line and to look at them with contempt and say, well, these niggas and them pookies, and to call it whatever it is that they want to call it as, rather than saying themselves inside of each and every one of those individuals. That loss of love, that loss of mission, that loss of everything that used to bind us is something that we do have a work to do. That ain't something that I give up on. I don't just say burn it down shit. I don't say none of that shit. I say we got work to do, and I'm willing to keep fighting those battles. I am getting a little bit tired though as I navigate through these YouTube spaces. It seems like the arguments aren't building. I mean, they're building, but it seems like they're just missing the point, or that they're too stubborn to get it. And I understand that, which is why every once in a while I'll give them a little platform and just let them speak, or I'll give them a little rope and let them speak. But in order to develop the pillars of the communities that we need, I think we're going to have to get a little bit tougher even on them. So when I hear go in, and when I hear Big Brother George Macon go in, you'll see me shut the fuck up. I shut the hell up. And I have to listen. As old as I am, I still have to listen because I don't know every damn thing. And I know that on my journey, I'm going to need some of those tools inside of my arsenal. There may be a situation where that's valuable. But because I can see the value, and because I do see the bigger picture, and I know that we are on a mission, I am able to uphold my job as just one soldier in a broader army. And we got a hell of a lot of work to do. We got to keep fighting these battles. Some of these folks will choose politics. Some will choose to try the economic front. And I know the difference. I know the difference. And that's about as much as I can say on this topic. Black warriors, we do exist. I would say that we do exist. We're out there. There's so few and far in between that it's sometimes easy to just say, look, man, y'all niggas ain't doing shit. But I do know that we exist because I know that I'm one of them. And as long as I'm willing to continue to keep fighting for my brothers, I believe that we still have some hope, even if it's just the one. Now, this big ass system that we up against, man, like the yard stream canceling out, the YouTube, using and leveraging YouTube to build that network that can be taken offline and taken into the streets, can actually become social justice warriors when we need to, can become real estate investors if we need to, can just start to love and to fuck with each other if we need to. Can we have a conference? Is it all right to say, oh, my nigga, I'm in Vegas right now, man, let's link up? Can we move to that space? I believe that the answer is yes, which is why I'm still here and I'm still rocking with motherfuckers. RJ, are you there yet? Are you there yet, brother? If RJ is not here yet,
I'm here.
There we go.
I was trying to.
Now you really got to close us out. So keep that.
Oh
shit
man, no,
on
I
and go and
can't
close
follow.
us
I
out.
can't. Listen. I ain't gonna say I can't, but it would. Why follow on the heels of that, brother Moses? I mean, that was an excellent way to take us home right there. You pretty much summed it up. I believe that we need, as we combat this thing in our again, it's never an individual thing, but we're doing things individually to combat it, because again, you got to start somewhere. As we do that, I think that one should have that what we'll call now that warrior spirit. It should propel you to not only seek greatness, but to be willing to stand, as brother Taz mentioned, in the courtroom and do things that that wouldn't necessarily benefit you, that may also make people look down on you. May not be the you may not be looked as preferably as upon as you once were. I think that as long as if we're sincerely doing the things that we've mentioned here on this broadcast, that we're doing in our personal lives, we are indeed combating this system. There definitely is no one way to do it. When I hear people say that they're a social justice warrior, I guess brother Taz, it's my humble opinion, Taz, you want to throw up a stream about this, we can. I think, yeah, I mean, because they're saying they're warriors and they're right, as they fight for justice. And oftentimes they may just be holding up a banner. They may be out there marching. Now we can critique that. I do think that everything that we see being done is necessary to get to the end game. I don't think there is a one way to combat this thing, especially considering that we are behind the eight ball in all areas of activity. So, with war being one of them, there's also the other eight, which where the war may be spiritually, or maybe economically, or it may be some entertainment or media. And that's what I left this out earlier, just kind of go off topic. When we were talking about this YouTube stuff and the space that we're on, that's more reason why people shouldn't be flagging our fellow brothers. That's why we shouldn't be going out of our way to shut each other down. I mean, and that's more reason why it's disheartening, because if some of our brothers from all this nonsense going on just packed it up and said the hell with it, we'd be missing out on some gems. We'd be missing out on some treats. And despite wherever the disagreements may lie, with that understanding in mind, we shouldn't be we should be directing that energy towards these other folks. Okay, because it's like, as far as the enemies that we have, and I'm referring to them as enemies, it's almost to the point where it's like, hey, you're feuding with black people too. Oh, okay, get a ticket, get in line. You know what I mean? You're gonna get your shot. And that's why I think it's imperative that we're all doing what we're doing, and to continue to ensure that we do those things to death, man. Like I said, it never stops. It's what's this, brother?
Go ahead.
Okay, future most relevant answer. Well, yeah, I absolutely. Oh yeah, without a doubt, brother Moses. Yeah, that's deep. That's deep. But anyway, I ain't saying nothing new that I ain't already said on previous panels, man. You're being willing to fight for what you stand for, physically, mentally, on all fronts. I think that makes you a warrior in your own right. But that's just, as we've clearly outlined here on this program, is subjective. So we'll leave it there, and until the next discussion. I thank you for having me on, brother. It's always a pleasure panels with you guys. It helps me be able to continue to sharpen my sword and see things from an alternative perspective. And it's for me, it's always greatly appreciated. I'll take this over the effery any day, for sure.
Yes, sir. Ray Alexander, I see you didn't bring yourself up, man. You're sending me emails and things to have conversations. It is after 8 o'clock. If you want to continue to have that conversation, you're more than welcome to hit that link that is available in the chat, and we can have that conversation about the migration to the South, or that second piece that you just sent me. But that invitation will only be open for a couple of moments, because wifey has come. If we get into the conversation, she would more than understand. And what I added onto the screen was just a part of my conversation with podcasts. Another sister soldier who I would say is fighting there, creating opportunities and waves for those military veterans to get the information they need to have a higher quality of life. Love that sister's content and the way that she delivers it. I am right there at home with her. This image is actually of the future wars that will be won. And it is the site. They said it was the site with the most relevant apps and a network to link all of its weapons. And that's according to the U.S. Air Force Chief of Staff. Now, the reason why I think that this is relevant is because what Taz brought out. He brought out our ability to communicate or to use certain networks that are already established for our advantage. And one of the key critical elements is our ability to communicate one to the other, our ability to reach out and get on the same level, and both of us have received the same message. Right now, we're struggling psychologically to get people on board because the messages that they are hearing from us, they aren't receiving well. They're not receiving them as we intended them, and they're not receiving them for the benefit of the whole collective. That individualism is driving a wedge between their ears and their ability to be good receptors. Likewise, the message that they send us, because it doesn't resonate, or because it's not even acknowledging the Black first mentality, because it is pushing towards an ideology that is more in line with the status quo, it will be hard for us to agree with them. Finding common ground, it only seems like we're surrendering. And that's why they will continue to have a problem with me being a pro-Black, being super progressive or liberal, as one might call it. Finding avenues to try to make this shit work, it becomes harder even with me to understand where some of these folks are coming from. China is leading right now in technology or military technology because they demonstrated the ability to knock out our communication satellites, to shoot in high altitude with accuracy, something that is moving in orbit, and knock it out of the sky. What did that do? It sent shockwaves through our military. It told us that we may not be able to see or communicate with our diverse and specialized groups. What does that mean? That means our medics don't know where to get to those infantrymen who have been shot. Our communications are down, and when our signals are down, our airplanes don't know where to drop those smart munitions. The people who are not on the front line can't communicate with the people who are on the front line. So many different ways. The money that's needed to drive those logistics and get those ammunitions and things to the battlefield. Now, each of those particular areas are areas of expertise or a skill set that the African American or the Black person here in America is responsible for. And if that Black person wants to now say, well, I'm responsible, but I'm going to put an Arab in my stand, then we are missing the mark. That Black man has to have Black sergeants and Black generals, or this army or this military or this squad, even as individuals, will be limited in its scope and operational efficiency. Those are my last words. Let me see if the brother joined. Nope, the brother did not join. So on a later day, me and Ray Alexander will be building on the great migration away from places like California, reinvesting back in the Deep South. I disagree, because when I look at the Deep South, I still see the political and all of those other areas where we're just so behind the eight ball. Why would somebody who's already established themselves in a stronghold at a port city and having established themselves with the resources they need to build from there, why would they give that up? I'm still not convinced yet that they can just move to the South and make it happen. Although when I was doing some research on it, I do see that there is a lot of land. There's plantation land available. There's land right outside the cities that's available. And if there is a collective that comes together like a conglomerate and makes those real estate investment trusts work to where they own the land, they own the building, they are the commercial developers and the residential developers, they are taking upon themselves something like what Gwinnett County is doing in Atlanta. If they are continue to make moves like that, then there may be an argument for it. But I'm not convinced that they should give up their assets yet. Maybe they can leverage some of those assets, get the refinancing or use equity loans and start to establish investments of that magnitude. But for them just to give it up and just jump into it head first, we would need some more data. That is my counter argument to Ray Alexander, and I would love to have that conversation at a later date. BMT, I know we got a conversation about business that we need to jump into. Go, as always, appreciate it. RJ, we're both in financial services, so maybe we can put together a couple of streams or a series of streams just about that financial stewardship. I know it's already been out there, it's been done, it's nothing new, but maybe we reach one or two more people and it can have an impact in their lives. To the young brother who had jumped on and gave his positions, I kind of commend you. You're 22, you're already establishing yourself in business, and like you said, you're following the ways of your father. Continue to do that, young man. Hopefully you come to see things our perspective, which is Black first. Don't put an Arab in that stand. And even though you have an Asian wife, I don't think that everything's done for you. This will sound dirty, but I hope your marriage fails and you find a sister to make life better with.
Holy shit, goddamn Mo.
Shots fired, and I am 100% honest when I say that. And then brother AM1, I don't like that squeamish shit. If you're gonna come up and you saw Tabs when he came up, and I know it kind of rang you in your gut where it was like, oh shit, here we go again. I think that being from Oakland, you are able to stand your ground. I think that the biggest problem wasn't the pussies and the cowards and the things that you heard, but with the fact that he called you on a contradiction. You want to talk about solutions, I think he gave you the ability to start talking about one and to analyze it from your level of critique. If you want a high level and a high caliber conversation, be willing to address the rebuttals as they come and be willing to look over the fact that he called you a bitch nigga. Anything other than that, Q Butter, that's my dude right there. Hey man, let me drop the link for Q Butter just to come on and say what's up to the people, man. I was watching this live stream earlier with the babies. I was like, I almost wanted to say, hey man, tell them you got supporters watching while they trying to act up and cut up right now, man. He had them young soldiers ready, man. I'm like, now this is what we need.
Hey, brother Moses. Speaking of supporters, man, wifey wanted to let you know that she's a supporter of you singing, man. She said, "Blow that Jodeci shit right quick before we get up out of here, man."
Oh, that who? Oh man. Hey, you know what I'm gonna do? Even though I don't got the wind to blow right now, I will upload as a part of some of my features just me singing and shit, because singing is something I love. I love music even more than rapping. I do like singing. And I'm constantly working on new music, and I'm trying to connect with CRU to provide some of those beats and things. I don't need all the studio level production. Like once you start hearing me sing, I won't even really need this microphone. No effects like that. I do got a strong voice like that, but I do like soul. And shit, I sing about that street shit, like Southside, nigga. My niggas, I done lost too many homeboys in the struggle for me to act like I'm Sadiddy and bougie now. My songs will not be something that I play at my corporate picnic. And if I do, them motherfuckers just gonna have to understand that that's who I am. So I call me a educated Pookie or a lame ass Pookie or whatever you want to call me. Call me anything but late for dinner because a nigga hungry and my wife just got here. Hey, Q Butter, do you mind just joining the stream one time? Bless us one time, big brother. Bless us one time, man. Hey, if Q Butter comes on right now, I will create a whole hook for this motherfucker. Next time I'm in Harlem, I will go to the studio itself and pay for the studio time if he would, but only bless us with his presence one time on the panel as we close out. Q Butter, I just put the link in there if you would be so kind, brother. I know that dude be busy though, so that's asking for a lot too. Man, what was the latest song I was working on? I think I could probably find it. There he is. Oh yeah, man. Now I gotta back up my word and get myself back to Harlem. My guy, man, when it comes down to actually executing on global initiatives, this is somebody who's actually laying down a blueprint that is replicable. It is something that many people can pick up on. My wife is actually in the education ecosystem. And when I looked at the curriculum that was laid out online, how it had all of the courses, course material, PowerPoint slides, everything like that in order to effectively teach and develop young minds in the way of a pro-Black curriculum, this is the person who I relate to the most. That is my brother Q Butter, man. Peace to the God, man. What's good with you, King? Thanks for joining.
What's good, family? What's good, family?
Oh man, you got it, man. We was talking about blacks in the warrior. Where are the black warrior class, man? And the conversation went to some economic shit. I was like, nah, they don't want to talk about Willis. These motherfuckers, they don't want to talk about black warriors, man. So go on and bless us with your thoughts on that matter, and then we'll close on out.
Man, listen, just put in that work, man.
Yes, sir.
All that talking shit to the side, man. Everybody want to do the work, Everybody else just watch.
Man, you gonna give me 7 words?
yo, you don't even know the date, yo, man. I'm getting my ass kicked right now, bro, with these kids, man. I ain't even gonna lie, man. It ain't easy.
I know that's right, man. Hey, man. Hey, not to say congrats because it's the expectation of Black Power when it starts moving and operating in the lives of others, man. But when I was watching, man, that shit motivated me even at my workspace. And let me give you a quick testimony. So because I'm in a financial services space, it's not politically correct. And because I'm on a phone, it's the recorded lines and shit. And so I'm having a conversation. My territory is out there in Baltimore, and I'm having a conversation with a brother. He's higher up inside of a higher status practice, mid-size, probably doing about $2 to $3 million a year. And he's the manager there. And so we're having a conversation, and this dude starts whispering. He was like, "Are you?" And I was like, damn, am I black? Am I one of us? Or what do you mean? Like, he did not want to say it. And that right there told me that we got work to do, man, where he couldn't even say it. Like, are you black? And then we kind of laughed about it for a little second, but it is something that caught my attention, man. If motherfuckers aren't proud of being black, then we still got a hell of a lot of work to do. And so some of us got to talk, but more of us need to be doing that work.
Facts. Oh, yeah. Peace, brother Q Butter. What's the word, G?
What's good, beloved?
You got it, man. You got it. Hey, yo, I'm about to fall off though. And then, brother Moses, I thank you for having me on, man. It's always a pleasure, man. Thank you for the
what's
generosity.
good, beloved?
Yes, sir.
What's good, beloved Q Butter?
Y'all be easy, my brothers, man. It's always a pleasure.
Yes, sir. RJ, we'll catch you up tomorrow.
All right, peace, G.
All right.
Man, listen, I had a parent drop the program today because they said it was too black.
They said a pro-black curriculum was too pro-black.
Like, no.
Hey, what you say? It's not for everybody, or how'd you kind of approach it?
I was like, yeah, she's your this is crazy. It's a lot, man. It's a lot.
That shit got to fuck with you at least a little bit psychologically. If somebody says,
I had a breakdown. I ain't gonna lie, man. I had a whole breakdown today, B. I was hyperventilating. I had to go for a walk. I was hyperventilating. So they kicked my ass. One of the kids got their phone stolen. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. I'm like, phone stolen. I'm ready to kick everybody the fuck out. Like, we don't steal in my spot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
In fact, you moving to the point of creating your own circuit boards and your own cell phones and things. So to have somebody take advantage of that and then just say, "Well, I'm gonna get mines now," is put it that immediate gratification. Look, you're skill building. You're skill building to build nations, not just skill building to be an affluent black man yourself, but the skill sets that you acquire now, man, they not even teaching that in college in some colleges. Like they'll go into it or they'll have the book work, but they ain't testing it and they damn sure aren't using applied skill sets that you're using today. So man, I'm sorry to hear that, but at the same time, if you need anything, feel free to hit me in the back chat. Always looking to support, man, and always glad to when I get the opportunity to.
Oh yeah, now it's pushing. Like we got so many people hitting us up to enroll. It's beyond overwhelming. The stories. It's like, man, listen, all of the fathers that may listen to this video, yo, stay in your kids' lives. To the women, I know a lot of people be breaking up because they just feel like they want something different, but your duty is to your children once you make them, and it's better to have two parents. I don't care how unhappy y'all are. Two parents in a home is better than one.
It's, hold on, let me say that one more time. I got to turn my microphone up. Oh shit. All right, say that one more again for my wifey in the background.
I said, I don't care what's going on in the house. You know, a lot of times you be like, look, I don't want to do this. I want to focus on my business, my life, whatever. But the duty is to the children once you make them. So, and your duty doesn't require you to be happy. You got to do your duty. And that's it. I don't really care if you're happy or not. And the children may see the difference in that. And you be like, oh, the children suffer. But what I see is children suffering like crazy from fathers leaving the homes, mothers doing crazy shit because they're angry at the fathers, and the children are getting molested, like straight up and down, molested. Like I wasn't prepared for these type of stories. Like you touch my kid, I want to kill you, your mother, your kids, your dog, and yeah. So like it's just crazy, B. So you better off saying two parents is better in the home than one.
Yes, sir.
How much pride you got, sisters? You can do it by your no. You need that man. And I know the sisters will do it. Y'all will do it. Go ahead and do what you got to do. But
Absolutely.
fellas, you need to be in them kids' lives, man. It's dramatic, dramatic. I always heard about it and understood it, and I was raised in no matter what, like you just got to deal with it. But like when them fathers leave or whatever it goes, them children suffer, B, and them boys is getting molested. Them boys is getting molested, y'all. Little boys is getting molested, and there's no one there to protect them. Mommy's at work, mommy's at school. They're at home watching TV after they get molested. Mommy comes in. She's tired. She can't even got the time to hear about you getting molested. You don't even know how to talk about it. You got basketball coaches, football coaches. Man, listen, man. I'm ready to put hands on a couple people. Yeah, this shit crazy out here, B.
God damn, your day was on a different level, bro.
That was last week.
Oh, that was so it's just compounding right now.
Yo, I told you I had a meltdown today, B. I can't even. I've never hyperventilated in my life, man. I had to go for that shit. Fuck my head up, B. I'm talking about all types of shit just at one moment. You know what I'm saying? Just landlord calling me about the rent. You know what I'm saying? Like all at the same time. Parents dropping out the program. It's crazy because it's crazy. And Irene's a teacher with us now, and so her daughter, we gave the words. I'm vetting and shit right now. But one of the words we gave them today for the week was compulsive. And it was crazy. I love my students. So like 3 of the students' words, they said, I don't like white people because they're compulsive liars. White people are compulsive liars. White media is compulsive liars. And Irene's daughter had got it on, Irene's daughter, she might be biracial, but Irene's trying to raise her a certain way politically, and she definitely represents that. And the children who's from the family who didn't want to be in there, they was like, so what's wrong with white people? So all white people are liars? And the mother called me up and was like, and I didn't peep it. I'm like, damn. She was like, yeah, you obviously you know what's going on. And I'm like, nah, I don't. Was everything cool? She was like, yeah, I got to take him out the program. I didn't sign him up to be hearing hate speech. I said, hate? Nobody used the word hate. The word was compulsive. They called them compulsive liars. Like, you could have argued it and made it a teachable moment, but instead you just jumped out. I didn't even say nothing. I was like, oh, that's how you feel? And it's crazy because her kids got called a coon the very first week by other kids, and she was pissed off about that. Like, yo, what kind of kids calling other kids coons? You know, yo, Taz, I'm listening like, but maybe the little niggas is coons. Oh man, life is crazy, B. You
already know, man.
Cause these kids is sharp, you know what I mean? Yo, Tad, these kids is sharp. The ones that's really in there, you know what I mean? They know the difference between a coon, you know what I mean? If you caping, they gonna tell you caping. One of the kids last week was like, 3 reasons why you don't like the public school system. And I thought Irene's daughter and the other kid was like, 2 of them was like homosexuality. They promoting it like crazy out there. And same kids. Oh, so y'all homophobic? Like, oh damn, son. Like, come on, man.
Hey, y'all getting it in on some real grown shit.
Hey, you got them kids learning, boy.
Hey,
all I asked you to do was give me 3 reasons why you why black children shouldn't go to the public school system. And that's the reasons they gave. Irene's daughter, Irene's daughter's a little Irene. So she was like, the curriculum is in line with white supremacy. This is aligned with that. And they're promoting homosexuality to the children through Planned Parenthood, this and that. I'm like, damn, Irene's daughter, no joke. It was like homosexual. So you homophobic? And the whole class, they jumped off like homophobic. And I'm like, hold on, y'all. Ain't nobody in my program scared of gay people, first and foremost. You know what I mean? This is a pro-black program that's centered around nation building and families. So if you're gay, let's let us know so we know how to address you. But you know what I'm saying? You might hear some stuff in here that you're not prepared for. But we got a lot of kids that signed up on some freaking running from the white man's vaccinations and shit. But that shit phony. Half these kids, man, listen, y'all caught me in one of those nights. I had me a little peanut.
Yeah, but ain't no phobia though. You know what I'm saying? That's the thing. Like, people don't get it. It's not a phobia. Nobody's scared. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just where you at, and I'm cool with you where you at with it, but don't push it.
Facts. That's why I said nobody's scared in this program. Nobody's scared of gay people. That's not what we saying. But we gonna call a spade a motherfucking spade.
Right.
That shit crazy, man. Like, shit crazy, B. You know what I'm saying? I got several kids with autism and developmental. Man, listen, son. This shit, parents don't want to get them diagnosed. This shit deep, son. Our community and shit crazy, son. You remove that white man, we got a lot of shit to fix up, B. A lot of shit to fix up once you remove that white. I ain't even gonna lie. You remove that white man. Yo, B, yo, Taz. Motherfuckers is on that white man titty, boy.
Already, man. That shit crazy, man. Like, it's crazy because for real, the more you try to provide like some black shit to black people, the more pushback you get from those who just don't understand. Like, people trying to give you the idea of first breaking away. Like, I get we got to break the chains first, but like you saying, there's a lot of people that just want to stay where they at with it intellectually, bro, mentally. Like, they don't even want to challenge themselves to think on something else. You know what I mean? Because I know I ain't always right. That's why I can listen. And you know what I'm saying? We can cook on some shit, dog. And if I'm wrong, I can come out of that with a better understanding. But I'm watching people just literally just want to stand by bullshit, bro. Like you can literally hear somebody just trying to stand by bullshit to be right. So you know what I'm saying? Like, as long as we got that problem, dog, ain't nobody gonna want to break away from the system. Cause it's like, I can always justify why I'm here and why this is okay. As long as you can justify it, it's cool. And everybody want to point at somebody else having that mentality, but I think we all had that mentality. It's not just a Pookie and Ray Ray thing. Like, even your educated brothers, they feel like they got all the answers, so they don't need to hear nobody else. You know what I mean? So that shit is fucked up, bro. Whether you reliant on the system or you relying on bashing other black people, like, we damn sure got a lot of work to do.
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
I got Q Butter on here from New York, and I got Taz on here because I know Taz will probably go in on this. I'm reading this article right now. I actually wasn't even gonna come on. I was listening to y'all, but I'm actually reading the article. Fat Joe was on Hot 97 last week, and he was talking about I don't know if you've seen it, Q Butter. He was talking about he was saying that he said it says right here, Fat Joe try ultimately missed the point or the mark discussing black Latinos. And he was talking about black people, I mean Cubans and Puerto Ricans, and saying that Latinos was black. So now, like in the tabloids, he getting a lot of flack. He getting flack and praise for it. What's your opinion on that? You think about what Fat Joe going on there? You think that was propaganda, or do you think that? Because I'm reading this, and I don't know, man. It's just because I know it's going to explode in a minute, like all over the tabloids with all the stuff going on, and him on Hot 97 saying what he said. Because you got a lot of Latinos that don't like what he said, and then you got a lot of Latinos that actually like what he said.
I mean, the truth is the truth. You know what I mean? Like he spits it. Like it is what it is. Like the culture is influenced by African culture. Like that's like even down to the djembe drums and stuff like that.
Yeah, he was talking about Cuba a lot. He was speaking.
Yeah,
He Cuban and Puerto Rican.
like the Spanish people got those drums popping out here. It wasn't like Africans. Them Congo drums and them djembe drums. That was definitely in New York. Those were like the Puerto Ricans, the Panamanians, the Cubans. You know what I mean? Jamaicans. Like they would link up in the parks, but the influence is definitely that's a fact. You know what I mean? Certain countries is straight white, and so you don't see it as blatant like mad Puerto like especially like the black people in those countries are very poor, so they don't get to leave. So the ones that we see are always the white ones, and the white ones don't go back, and they just mate with more white people. But Puerto Rico got mad black people in it. You know what I mean? Like Cuba got mad black people. Colombia got mad black people that's been there since fucking slavery. You know what I mean? Like they've been there, and they just don't get to leave because they mad poor. Like Dominican Republic is mad dark skin, but everybody when you go on their website, all you see is white Spanish people. You go on Panama's website, they got white people up there. You go to Belize's website, white people up there. Even speaking to Philip and mad at these spots, you know what I mean? They always, anything against black, they always want to look like a cracker. You know how that go. I fuck with you. I felt like he was keeping it. Fat Joe is old school. He been around digging in the crates. Yeah. He don't put on Spanish, black, mad people. You see what I mean? Like he put on mad people in New York, like mad people.
I think it's a regional thing. Like I think a lot of times, because see, we from the East Coast, the upper Northeast, so we grew up black, Puerto Rican, black and Latinos basically live together. So especially black and Puerto Ricans, like you, even hip hop. This hip hop we like listening to, black and Puerto Rican created that shit. It's like we was always like I get a lot of flack when I talk from people that's like from the Midwest and from the West Coast because they got the gangs over there. And like we don't really like in Philly, we never gang bang with like Latinos. Like never. Like I never so I think it's like a more regional. So Fat Joe being from the Bronx, like most of his friends is black. And I think that like on the East Coast, it's like if my sister brought home a Puerto Rican as a boyfriend, I probably wouldn't even say nothing. That's how much it is, as opposed to a white guy. So I think it's more regional as opposed to Philly and New York, as opposed to like if you in Chicago or you in LA. Because they look at Mexicans, but Puerto Ricans and Mexicans don't like each other. So yeah, but I was actually reading the article. It was actually kind of interesting. But that's not the first time he said that.
What I say to that though, man, I had a Puerto Rican dude on the panel the other day, man. He got up there, bro. He was just talking and shit. And he said nigga a couple times, bro. And I noticed in the chat, bro, they start going ham like they got a whole non-black man up there saying nigga, and you know what I'm saying? Like they was tripping, bro. So like I eventually stopped. And keep in mind when he's saying it, I wasn't even catching it. It didn't even register to me because, like, I ain't a New York nigga, bro. But I'm 100, man. If I hear you talking regular, and like it's not gonna stand. It didn't sound like you was trying to just throw it in.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I mean? Like I know that culture over there, so the shit didn't bother me, but evidently niggas was triggered by that shit, bro. So, like, I wish we cared more about the culture part of it and didn't turn it into, all right, well, let's fight this Puerto Rican dude because he's saying nigga. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like, you know, if he got up there and said, y'all, I hate y'all niggas and this and that, that's different than we in conversation about Takashi and he like, nah, this nigga that. He just talking. You know what I mean? So like, I just think I think the culture thing, like at this point of that word, I don't think there's no control over it. So you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like I just think we need to just let the world have it and not necessarily put all this racial emphasis for ourselves on it. Like fuck that word at this point when it comes to ownership. We don't need to own that fucking word.
Yeah, because hey, look, remember when Keith Thurman and Garcia was having a fight, and Garcia Pop was saying the word nigga, and everybody was mad at him. And I was in the chats, and I was like, listen, he from North Philly, from the Badlands. Like where we come from, like growing up on the block, it was black and Puerto Ricans. That's how we talk. This man, this fucking nigga, this thing. Like they was light skinned niggas. So, and a lot of people, I think, like a lot of people, like around the country, heard in Philly. If you come to Philly and we going through and we sitting around, it may be a black dude, a Jamaican dude, a Puerto Rican dude, and we out there talking shit. That's just how we talk. So I just think it's like regional. Like they was going at Garcia dad saying he was racist. He was racist, and I was like, no, that nigga man was a fucking crackhead from the fucking Badlands. Like that's just how he talk.
Hey, George, if you hadn't had that conversation with me about it, I never would have known because being from the West Coast,
Right.
we just said Mexican, and we were so ignorant about that shit. And but even there on the West Coast, I don't give a fuck what nobody says. Them motherfuckers be saying nigga too, and you be like, damn, that's my nigga right there. So they exaggerating in a motherfucker, man. But I did see the what was it, Crawford, that motherfucker, and Danny Garcia, both of they camps both say that damn word. I was like, hey, not a bitch.
You know what though? I ain't gonna front.
So that nigga right.
I used to work at Foot Locker a minute ago, right? A long time ago. And I don't know why. I used to do these little small social experiments. And I switched from saying what up, nigga, to what up, nigga, baby. And Spanish people immediately had a problem with it. And that's how
What?
like, what up, nigga, baby? And they were like, yo, don't call me a nigga, I'm not black.
Yes.
Like, and then immediately right after that, I switch on them. Yo, you say nigga again, it's on the popping.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and so I had it's crazy. I had a girl from Puerto Rico, black, like Wesley Snipes. Don't call me a nigga, baby. I ain't black. I was so
you know what, Q? It's more the Dominicans over here than the Puerto Ricans. It be them Dominicans. They be looking like me. Them niggas, I ain't black, I'm Dominican. And we'll all be in the basement. Niggas be in the basement smoking weed. It be 3 black dudes, a Puerto Rican dude, and a Dominican dude. He be the only one saying he ain't black. Everybody looking at him like he crazy. He's blacker than everybody in the room. And it's funny because Puerto Ricans and Cubans embrace the African way more than the Dominican do.
yeah, nah, they that's the America invented Dominican Republic. So
Yeah.
that was that's the first you gotta do a video on that Taz, the American creation of the Dominican Republic. You know what I mean? The first invasion, the first American invasion.
Yeah, right here, this area. So I don't know. I can't.
There we go. All right, man, brothers. I got a dip, man. Wifey is here. Although I gotta say, this is the most people I've had on a live. So I appreciate y'all coming over. I know that's partially due to Nyla says the GOAT sharing the video stream. But y'all been rocking with us. I gotta say, man, look, this may not have all been for you, but you may know somebody that this is exactly for. A cousin, somebody. Share it on Facebook. Go ahead, right ahead. Let them know that we out here. We are a community, online social networking community where we do come together. You got a lot of us that got work to do, but then you also have a couple of us who are still just trying to figure out that pathway forward. I think this is one of the best avenues for us to figure it out together. and to connect those people who are doing the work with some of those people who are still trying to figure it out. I mean, not all of these old ass niggas is done. And then, like we saw today, there's 22-year-olds out there who are starting to do the economic thing, who, with just the right guidance, maybe the right advisors, maybe they can make the right decision in their lifetime. So I appreciate everybody that came on in. Mike Shinnery, you should have came a little bit earlier, man. You know that the platform's always open to you as well, brother. So be sure to link up with us next time, man. But if you could share that video, appreciate it. If you could like the video, be sure to like that video. And then if you haven't already subscribed to Brother Mo, man, I am a contributing content creator to the B1 Network. I definitely aspire to be a little bit more established than I am today. And as I invest in more technology, we'll continue to make those moves. So appreciate it. Brother Q Butter, man, as always, man, it's an honor, man. Thanks for joining us, man. I'm going to go on and let y'all go.
One.
All right, 100.